Visiting from Detroit, New York, or happen to live here in Florida, this is an ideal day for baseball, and fans are streaming into Marchant Stadium to watch the Detroit Tigers, fitted for perhaps another championship because they've added Prince Fielder to a lineup that already had Miguel Cabrera in it. The two have become fast friends and obviously are power hitters, and all sorts of optimism abounds as the Tigers look to repeat as Central Division champions. ESPN Spring Training Baseball is presented by Gillette. And the Detroit Tigers, who call this stadium home, play host today to the New York Mets. The Mets have been dealing with all sorts of injuries while the Tigers have seen things go as planned. And they certainly have been unbelievable so far this spring, winning more games than losing, hammering the ball over the fences, and their pitchers have done great as well. Happy to be alongside Mark Mulder and Doug Landville. I'm Carl Ravitch, and welcome to our second game, spring training game of 10. When you think about the Tigers, Doug, obviously 95 wins last year. Many believe they're even better this year. Fielder's the major reason why, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you see it, you add Prince Fielder to the mix, and this offense is just dangerous. I mean, beyond dangerous. So you complement that with Miguel Cabrera, and Fielder, everywhere he goes, he has one of the best right-handed hitters in the game by his side. So look at what the other guys are now doing. Rayburn's having a tremendous spring training, 14 RBIs in this short spring. So it looks like this offense is gelling, and nobody's taking it for granted. They look like they're very hungry.
They sure do, and forget taking anything for granted with the Tigers, let alone the pitchers, who obviously last year were led by Justin Verlander, right?
Oh, absolutely. Mr. Everything. You know, MVP, Cy Young, and now this year, Scherzer's going today. But Fister and Porcello, to me, those three guys are going to be the big key to this season for these guys. You know, Verlander's going to go out and do his thing. He might not be able to replicate what he did last year because that was pretty special, but these other three guys, if they step up and put up some zeros with this offense, they're going to be dangerous.
All right, Dylan G will be on the mound for the Mets. This is a tough task because the Tigers have put their A lineup on the field. We look forward to having the lineups, the first pitch. We'll have interviews with the managers and the players during our game. It's spring training. It's the Tigers and the Mets, and it's coming up next here on ESPN. ESPN Spring Training is presented by Gillette. Great things start with Gillette. And in part by 5-Hour Energy when you got to get stuff done. That alligator is not going to get eating done. His mouth has been taped shut. So it's hard to ingest when you got the old...
That's probably for the better.
When you get the tape, yeah, I would definitely agree. I'm not even sure why we brought an alligator to the ballpark. For the Mets and the Tigers, maybe he's a Tiger fan. Maybe he's a Met fan. Maybe, in fact, they're just selling Gatorland, which is, I think, really the reason he's here. Terry Collins is looking for some healthy players today. Good news is that Daniel Murphy decided to volunteer to be the DH. Otherwise, they were really looking deep, perhaps even having a pitcher as a designated hitter. Mark, this is the lineup, and it's hardly the everyday lineup.
That's not exactly what you call a lethal spring training lineup.
Val Despin is the leadoff hitter. He has a chance to eventually make the Major League team. We know Justin Turner's had some Major League experience. There's Murphy. Mike Baxter, Josh Tolle is the everyday catcher. Adam Lowen's a converted Boulder guy.
Ex-pitcher.
Converted pitcher. And the bottom is Wilmer Flores and Matt Dendinger. And on the mound, it's going to be Max Scherzer. Good chance to see the Tigers. This may not be the A lineup, but Scherzer is certainly one of their key starting pitchers.
Absolutely. Mid-90s fastball. He did a great job last season. You know, he's one of those guys that in this rotation behind Verlander, they're expecting big things.
Take a look around the infield quickly, and of course Miguel Cabrera is going to be at third base. And Jim Leyland has said within the last, I think, 48 hours, there's no plan to replace Cabrera late in games for defensive purposes. He doesn't want to get caught without Cabrera on the offensive side if the game gets tied. Prince Fielder and Cabrera both working on ground balls a little bit longer than other players were this morning, right?
Yeah, they were out there a little bit early during BP. Prince was scooping balls at first base, working on that. Working on it.
And working on it, yep. And there's still work there to be done. Brandon Inge is going to be at second base. He wasn't originally in the lineup. In fact, Brennan Bosch was originally in the lineup. But when he hit a ball, what appeared to be probably 420 feet, tweaked what appeared to be a rib cage or a back, a lat, something in there, and just for cautionary reasons, he's not going to be in the lineup today. But it speaks volumes about what Jim Leyland has at his disposal, that when you take Bosch out, you move Inge to second base, and you just don't lose a lot. This is a lineup that so far this spring has 19 home runs in 11 games. That leads the American League, and their pitching ERA is .265. That leads the American League. So all things going well for Jim Leyland and the Tigers as we get set for the first pitch of ESPN Spring Training Baseball game. Jordani Val Despin is the first guy that Scherzer's going to face. Fastball is up and he misses. You watch Scherzer and you know what the potential is. He can go out and strike out 14, 15 in a game. But then occasionally he struggles finding the strike zone. Better last year, right, Mark?
Yeah, he did a much better job last season commanding the strike zone. And today, here it's 2-0, but this is a guy who has a good electric fastball, and he needs to just take it, throw it.
Like that one. A lot of times you don't get to see mid to upper 90s. You get the sense when Scherzer gets loose, we will today. Val Despin is one of these guys that steals a lot of bases, did so in the minors. So Cabrera is in at third. Not sure it'd be the worst thing for Leyland. They probably want to see him field some bunts at third base.
Oh, absolutely. It's just more practice, the better.
3-1. That's a called strike. Val Despin hasn't taken the bat off of his shoulder. Scherzer's thrown 5 pitches. Kind of hear the wind. It's blowing in from right field. This one is laced to center field. Quentin Berry is there, and he makes the catch. You squared it up, and right at Berry in center field. So 1 man up and 1 man down, and now Justin Turner comes to the plate. In spite of the fact that the wind is blowing in, there are a few Tigers who care about any wind. Offensively.
Some of the balls that they hit in spring training, there's a building in right field that a few of those guys were almost going over that building.
A lot of complaints from some of the Tigers that when Prince and Bosch come up that their cars are in jeopardy, and apparently they are.
Here's Justin Turner. Call strike. What do you think Turner, what do you think Scherzer's goal is here? What's he working on? How did you approach a game?
Well, so far, he fell behind in the count, so he's throwing a lot of fastballs. But with a guy like him, to be able to command that fastball is everything. He has a plus changeup. He has a very good changeup. But without command, and if you don't get ahead and throw strikes, when you're behind, it doesn't matter if you throw 95, 96. These hitters, if they know it's coming, they're going to jump on it.
1-1. That one is in there. It looked like a changeup. What year were you comfortable? Because Scherzer's obviously still early in his career. When did you really feel like you were kind of, or did you never get to that place?
There were times where you got there, but it's one of those things, especially in spring training. You're working towards the season. You're working towards finding the command of your pitches, to where during the season, when you need to call on that one money pitch or that one located pitch, you're able to do that. And in spring training, you're generally not able to do that yet.
That ball's pulled foul. Larry Vanover is calling balls and strikes today. Jerry Lane is the ump at first, and Mark Wegner at second. Andy Fletcher is down there at third base. Two to Justin Turner. Foul out of play.
See, there's a 2-2 pitch on the black away. There's nothing Turner can Turner can actually do with that pitch except foul that off. So, it's a good pitch and a good piece of hit and staying alive.
I mentioned Murphy. He's standing there on deck. Another one. That one in on his fists.
Much he's going to do with that one either.
No. Scherzer is making his third start of the spring today. Last year was 15-9 for the Tigers. So far in the spring, he's pitched in 2 games, 5 in the third inning, 4 hits, hasn't given up any runs at all, 4 strikeouts and 3 walks. 2-2 again. That one right back up the middle and over his head. And the first hit of the game for the Mets. Justin Turner is on first.
Designated hitter, number 28, Daniel Murphy.
Scherzer going with the slider here, 2-2. Doesn't get it down in a way where the catcher wanted it. Left it over the middle of the plate and drove it right back up the middle.
So what is he thinking? He's given up 2 hard hit balls, 1 for another. You're good with this?
Well, it's 2 batters in, and the first batter he was behind the whole time, so it was 3-2, and he had to throw a strike.
Now Daniel Murphy, who basically all but volunteered to come on this 2.5-hour trip. He said, sure, I'll be the DH. And then he actually said, I just as soon play the field. Murphy, of course, the second baseman who's working on becoming a better second baseman. But Terry Collins grateful that he had volunteered to come and be the DH. Said, no, we just need you to get some swings. And given the amount of injuries that the Mets have had to deal with, when somebody steps up and says, I'll go play, versus I have something wrong with me, that sits well with the manager.
He got some points for that.
I'm sure he did. This one is down the line in left, shaded way over towards center was Delman Young, and it gets out of play.
All these injuries that the Mets are having, it's better to have now. It's spring training. The season hasn't started yet. If you're going to have them, have them now. That way guys can take the time to get better, and hopefully most of them will be ready for the season.
Yeah, it appears as if most will. There was some news today out of Mets camps that David Wright has returned. They discovered that he had a torn muscle. He says it's not that serious. And this one lifted kind of lazily to center field. Quentin Berry is under it, and he'll throw it back in. So Wright is kind of downplaying the injury. He had that shot there that was going to help him. And again, when he returned to camp today, it was discovered, or at least it was revealed, that it was a torn muscle. And when you had Santana and Davis and Wright go down last year, and the amount of games they missed and the division they played in, the Mets ended up at 77 and 85. They were 25 games back. Now the cleanup hitter today, Zach Lutz.
When you talk about these injuries with Wright, you know, they say he's probably going to be ready for the season, but, you know, when it comes to something like that, when it's ribs, your ab, just that area in general for a hitter, especially a third baseman, some of the plays he might have to be making, I mean, that you just hope that that's not something that lingers on when the season starts.
Scherzer throws over. Relationship developing there too. You know, anytime you get a new first baseman, right, you want to make sure he's used to your motion on the throws to first.
Now that you didn't know basically you're already a month today. No, he's a month today.
Runner goes, Avila throws down, and they got him. Good throw by Alex Avila. And Ainger's there to slap the tag on. So the cleanup hitter heads back to the bench. We'll see if the Tigers can clean up offensively. But a good start for Scherzer and a great throw from Avila. Tigers are coming to bat for the first time here on ESPN. Our spring training game continues after this. We're in Lakeland, Joker Marchand Stadium, and no runs across for the Mets. They got a base runner on who was then thrown out. We need some money, Mom. Tigers spent a lot of money in the offseason. Major commitment to Prince Fielder, and as a result, the lineup, which looks really good today with Santiago Inge and then Cabrera and Fielder in it, will look even better when Brennan Bosch is there and Ryan Rayburn as well.
You know, Miguel Cabrera in the middle of this order, followed by Prince Fielder. It's a dream come true. I mean, what a great lineup all around. You know, as pitchers, especially to have this lineup, wow.
And they have scored a ton of runs so far. Dylan G is coming off a rookie season in which he went 13-6, which was the tied for fifth best winning percentage among National League pitchers. And among the rookies, top 10 in a bunch of categories. The first pitch he throws in is a strike to Ramon Santiago, who's leading off and playing shortstop.
Trying to be cautious.
G works quickly, and Santiago is behind 0-2.
I like it when you see pitchers get the ball, get back on the mound, get ready for that hitter. You just stand there, almost just waiting for that hitter to get in the box, and when he does, you throw that pitch.
The 0-2, this one is a flare into left and hangs up enough for Mike Baxter to come in and make the catch. So one man up, one man down.
Number 15, Brandon Inge.
Hear the crowd applauding from Brandon Inge. Inge has played second base. Likely not to be in the everyday lineup, but boy, what a treat it is to bring somebody like this off the bench. And he looked strong.
Yeah, very strong. I was talking to him before the game. He's put on some weight. He's put on some muscle. He said he got down to almost 175 pounds last year. And that for him is awfully light.
His value is in his versatility. You know, a third baseman, a catcher, a golfer, a soccer player, can punt footballs. He can do whatever they want. The Lions may use him a little bit. The Tigers obviously going to plan on using him a lot.
Well, he's an unbelievable athlete.
Yeah.
And to have that off the bench, someone who has started a lot in his career, but who can play all over the field, you know, that just gives the starters, I guess you want to say, time off.
Easy power. This one, he check swings, a ground ball to first, and G is over to cover. So 2 men down. So what the Tigers would like to have are the leadoff guys get on. Austin Jackson played in the game last night, so he's not in the lineup today. But they want the men on for these guys as Cabrera steps in. Every time you see Cabrera, you're just reminded, especially when he's on the team with Prince, who's a big guy, just how huge Cabrera is.
Well, it might be the biggest corner infielders in the game today.
You could maybe ever. I'm not sure you've ever had a third baseman and a first baseman that size. That's one for the guys back in the research department. Prince watches that one sail by his left shoulder as Cabrera fouls it off. Huh? I don't know. First baseman and third baseman that size? I'm trying to think. I mean, there's been a bevy of big first basemen, but Cabrera could be the biggest third baseman ever. Ryan Zimmerman's big guy. Longoria's big, but they're not as like thick and tall.
It's the combination. It's the 6'4". It's the It says it says 240 on the sheet, but I don't know if I buy that.
Good pitch from G. He got Cabrera way out in front of it. You're right. G's getting it and throwing it and being effective with it.
Yeah, he's done a good job locating his fastball. Right there's a straight change, and that shows you how effective a changeup can be when you're locating your fastball.
1-2-3 inning. Oh, and he got it. Good pitch there as Cabrera's gone. So Dylan G, very impressive. Gets Santiago, Inge, and Cabrera in order. When you make contact, it goes a long way. But when you miss by that much, strikeout.
First baseman.
We're back playing spring training baseball, and it's the Mets and the Tigers, top of the second inning. Talking with Mark Mulder. Doug Glanville's down in the field in between the innings here, and how good Dylan G looked, how quick he worked. You said he didn't locate only one pitch. Everything else
there was really one pitch that he didn't locate where the catcher wanted the ball. That was awesome.
Now back for the second inning of work as you take a look at G is Max Scherzer. First pitch is a ball. Remember Zach Lutz, who is standing at the plate when Justin Turner was caught stealing to end the top of the first. That's a AAA player last year. Scherzer misses.
Well, no, his father's not there. I think it has a lot to do. He likes to go do Disney stuff.
2-0 misses. That's the one thing about Scherzer, and you had a pretty standard but very clean delivery. He tends to kind of fall kind of all over the place.
Yeah, he has a lot going on, and you know, it's hard to take a guy with an arm like this and try to tell him to slow it down or to smooth it out, because that's kind of what makes him effective. It's just it's more the way that it's hard to describe. It's not that it's a wild delivery by any means. There's just a lot of moving parts, and when things are right, they're right, but when they're wrong, he's missing.
Well, like the first batter, he's now thrown 5 more pitches, and again a 3-2 count. Jordani Valdespin was the leadoff guy. Didn't really swing at all until the 6th pitch of the at bat when he lined one to center. This one is lifted out of play. In left, good crowd on hand. The berm is pretty much full. And anytime the Tigers are playing, you saw a lot of folks from Michigan that are down here rooting on team as they welcome them back to Detroit a couple of weeks from now. They'll open up the season against the Red Sox, which could be a Verlander-Lester matchup on ESPN. Another 3-2. Strike 3. Good pitch from Scherzer.
It's a little backup slider right there. Best pitch in baseball. He's trying to go. Scherzer's trying to go down and away right here, and kind of throws a little spinner, which is basically what we call a backup slider. It ends up middle in, and there's the hitter. You can't really pull the trigger when those pitches, when you see those.
And why is it the best pitch in baseball?
Because you can't throw it on purpose. You know, pitchers always say, if I could throw that on purpose, it'd be a great pitch, but you can't.
So it's a mistake.
It's a mistake.
Really? Mike Baxter is playing left field. He bats 5th. Scherzer.
If Scherzer can figure out how to possibly get quicker outs early in the count, I mean, that's going to really help you. As you can see, he's already gone 3-2 a couple times here. And when you throw that many pitches, it's tough to go deep into games. You know, and you really, a guy out like him, the Tigers are going to really want to see 200+ innings this year. And that's tough to do when you have 100 pitches sometimes in the 5th or 6th inning every time.
Misses away. He does work quick. But he has thrown 29 pitches, as you said already. You're on a staff with Verlander, who throws just 1,000 innings and never wants to come out of a game. There's a good pitch in for a strike, 2-2.
But that's also Verlander. You know, Verlander obviously has that no-hit stuff, but he also does a great job of getting quick outs.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I think makes him so special, is because he has that ability. Plus, he can also go strike out 12 if he needs to.
2-2 to Baxter. Swing and a miss. Good fastball there. 95 miles an hour. Second strikeout of the inning. Second strikeout of the game for Scherzer. Monday, you get another look at the Tigers. They're going to take on the Phillies. Good Major League Baseball spring training game presented by Gillette on ESPN at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. It's in Clearwater, Florida. And that certainly can be considered a possible World Series preview, with the Tigers and Phillies squaring off. Josh Tolley, the everyday catcher for the Mets, looks at a strike from Scherzer. Monday, depending on any rain between now and then, it looks like Roy Halladay could be on the mound for the Philadelphia Phillies. That was that backdoor slider, but it was to a lefty.
Yeah, that was 0-1, so he's just trying to throw it, but that's to the right side of the plate. He's trying to throw it to that side of the plate, and located it very well.
Now, this has the potential to be a much quicker inning than the top of the first for Scherzer. 0-2 pitch. That one misses. When you see a ball sail like that at 96, is that overthrowing it, or are you getting a chase?
He tried to throw that on the black away and paint for strike 3 and get the guy looking, and just overthrew it a little bit.
Arm's getting loose, though, huh?
Yes, it is. Man, it's fun. It must be fun to throw that hard. Shakes off a couple. Here's your 2-2. See, See, that's a great pitch right there. I know he took it, but I think he took it more because he got fooled on the pitch. That was a changeup down and away. Looked 2 fastballs high and away, setting up that changeup, and he wasn't biting on it.
He didn't bite. It looked like Max thought it was a strike. Another 3-2, 37th pitch of the game on the ground. Here's a chance. That's by Cabrera. And into left field, Young is up with it, and the brakes get put on over there by Josh Tolley. It's a single.
Right fielder, number 20, Adam Sloan.
It's not a ball that Cabrera, given where he was playing, was going to get to.
No, hit right down the line like that. Cabrera really, no third baseman has a chance, especially where he was playing.
Second hit of the game for the New York Mets. Adam Lowen, the right fielder, is up. As you take a look at Cabrera, he's going to get used to having that uniform dirty. You know, at first, you don't usually get it dirty too often. Certainly at third, flopping around, diving for balls left and right. But you make a good point. I mean, we're at 38 pitches already here in the second inning.
And that's the thing. When you throw this many balls and you fall behind in the count, but he has the stuff to get away with it. That's the thing. When he's behind in the count, he has such good stuff.
Low one on the ground. That's foul. Of course, the New York Mets are dealing with injuries to infielders. Jason Bay was scheduled to come today, but was given the day off, and happy to report not injury related. Had a chance to spend a lot of time with Terry Collins earlier this morning talking about the team and the injuries. He's been in the news recently for being frustrated with the injuries. The 1-1. This one lifted in the left field. It's going to get down as Young chases it. So the Mets are going to have 2 men aboard. Terry Collins' team's got something going here. Wilmer Flores is going to come up.
Number 71, Wilmer Flores.
Yeah, you got to give him credit here. That was a good changeup down and away, 1-1 pitch, and he just flares it into left field, going down and getting it.
And I know that having worked with Crucky a couple of days ago, and you were here early, and you're watching them do the fielding practice and the infield, and I heard you say monotony. Kruk, of course, Kruk can't even sit and watch the field very well.
Yeah.
During spring training in the mornings. But Collins' point about the injuries is not necessarily that we don't have the guys playing in the games, but we can't work on anything because they're not there to go through the base running drills, the infielding drills, any of that stuff. And that's what's kind of getting at him.
Yeah, the bunt plays. There's lots of times you go through different bunt plays early in the morning.
This one to Flores, fouled out of play.
And if you don't have those guys to do those with, to the pitchers, earlier we saw Verlander, the starting pitchers, Porcello and Pfister, they were all out there doing different bunt plays. And if you don't have those infielders out there, you can't get a read on how it's supposed to look or how it's supposed to feel. You get a feel for your players. You know where they're playing, and if they're not there, you just can't do those things.
And he is a teacher. He's kind of old school. He actually was on Jim Leland's staff back in Pittsburgh. So he's a teacher, and when he can't teach, it kind of frustrates you. Good pitch there, and Flores is gone. So Scherzer is going to strand 2. He's thrown 40 pitches already. Tigers still have their thunder coming up.
ESPN Spring Training is presented by Gillette. Today it's the Tigers hosting the New York Mets. You look at the backfields, and that is Joker Marchand Stadium in Lakeland, Florida. Almost 7 decades, 67 years they've been playing. Doug Landville joins us on the field. Mark Mulder and I'm Carl Ravitch here in the booth. Prince Fielder set to face Dylan G. And boy, G was really good in the first inning, Doug.
But his trouble has been just efficiency. He's tended to go way too many pitches deep early in the game, and it's caused him to really break down by the 6th inning. His 6th inning is usually where he falls apart. So a guy like Fielder, he has to show he's going to attack early on and try to be much more quick to his repertoire so that later he can set up his off-speed pitches and have more in the tank to go deeper in ball games.
Well, Prince didn't get a chance to see many pitches at all. He laced a shot into right center, and he's aboard. First base runner for the Tigers. And now Delman Young. He put on an absolute show in batting practice. Good block by Tolley back there.
You know, you saw Prince come up and swing at that first pitch. Obviously, in that first inning, Dylan G was pounding the strike zone.
Being aggressive,
so,
yep.
So Fielder sees that. You know, he's sitting there watching. You come up, you think, hey, I'm going to get first pitch fastball strike, and he swung at it.
Young hit that one right back up the middle and on the screw. So the first two are aboard in the second inning. Fielder and Young.
Number 13, Alex.
See the fans sitting out there on the berm, and that's where Young and Cabrera were hitting the balls, but they were hitting them over the berm. They weren't hitting them just to the people. They were going over the berm. Same way we saw.
Yeah, they were up by the pillars up there a few times.
Crushing the pillars. And on the other side, Brennan Bosch is not playing today, and Prince were doing that on the right field side where there's a parking lot in the backfields. And now Alex Avila, although as he told us on Baseball Tonight, you can call him Avila or Avila. He had a great season to start last year and faded a little bit down the stretch, caught so many games. Really an integral part of this, and when your pitcher wins the MVP and the Cy Young, he gets 99% of the credit, but Alex had something to do with it.
Yeah, when your catcher's an everyday guy like that, and he had such a great season, it's hard to not keep putting him out there because, the pitchers want him out there, but he does need days off. It's, it becomes a long summer on your legs especially.
So Prince and Delman Young aboard. Dylan G, very different second inning than the first. One holds, called strike. Tim Kirkshin tells a story about Gary Carter. Of course, he passed away after brain cancer, and the Mets are wearing a patch on their sleeves all season long. They'll have a ceremony to honor Gary Carter, but tells a story of how pitchers would say the same thing about Carter, even after playing in a night game, and then the Mets would come back on a Sunday afternoon. You've got to catch.
Yeah, you have that comfort level with your catcher when especially if you're pitching well, you want to see that same guy.
Avila off the glove of G, fielded by the shortstop to first. Scoop there, double play. Well, that's really good because you don't see Justin Turner playing short very often. You never see Valdeспин at second, and Zach Lutz makes the scoop at first. So this is a 1-6 fourth.
This is a nice play, but know this though, as a pitcher, you got to know where your middle infielders are, because right there, G got away with that.
Yep.
He got there's no reason to really reach behind your back to try to get that. If you know your middle infielders are up the middle, you know they're going to make that play, and that should have really just been a pick it up, step on the bag, and throw to first. So they got lucky with that.
Now Laird, I believe you, and I know you're right. I can't believe if you're on the mound, you're not reacting that way.
There were times. I swear there were times where I would go up to get a ball and I would pull my glove back because I knew it was right to the shortstop, and he would then turn to because I knew where he was.
In your second year?
Well, I don't remember what year, but I know I did.
Well, there's a ground ball out for Lair, the DH. You learned.
Yeah.
We're all learning as we go. It's 0-0 as we're through 2.
If you like video games,
ESPN Spring Training is brought to you by Red Lobster's Lobster Fest. Don't miss it. Come in today for the largest variety of sweet, succulent lobster, and Shell. No other gasoline protects engines better. So Scherzer is back out for the third inning. 44 pitches. And he's thrown every pitch. But again, just like that, the leadoff guy falling behind.
Yeah, it's just the falling behind and the you end up throwing so many more pitches.
Here's one right at the knees, fastball. Another one right at the knees, same spot, 2-2. Quentin Berry, who is playing center field today. Andres Torres is going to be the everyday center fielder. He and Ramon Ramirez came over in the deal with the Giants. The bullpen's been improved dramatically for the Mets, although none of those guys are here. Francisco, Rausch, Ramirez. And I'll give Terry a lot of credit. He's the ultimate optimist. He does believe that if you can get Davis and Turner, Tejada and Wright and Bay, Torres, Duda, Tolle, that you can compete in that division. But they can't afford our injuries, he says. They're just not deep, and we're seeing that today.
Yeah, and you'd also need every one of those guys that you just mentioned to play to their full ability.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, a team like this that isn't exactly picked to win their division, they all need to go out and have really good years altogether.
Ball 4, first walk. So given the Phillies and the Braves and the Nationals and the Miami Marlins all at the very least stood still, if not improved, here's what the Mets projected lineup looks like. And again, news today that David Wright suffered a minor torn muscle in his lat abdomen area, similar to the one that Ryan Zimmerman had, but not necessarily as serious. Hopefully, because that one was requiring surgery and put him on just about 60 games with it. Wright insists it's not nearly that serious.
But what David Wright does for that lineup, you know, that might not be a Philadelphia Phillies lineup or whatever, but he fills out the lineup. You know, he makes them better, and without him in that lineup, it's just not the same.
Runner was going as Terry Collins tries to move, and the hit and run fails with the foul ball. You know, the Mets have been told, or at least the fans want the Mets to either kind of commit to David Wright, he's a foundation guy, or, you know, what are we going to do here? His first 3 seasons, he was among the best, if not the best in baseball, 09 through the present. And you see the numbers were dramatically different. Now, a lot of that will be attributed to a bigger ballpark. Fences have come in, they've been lowered. Maybe that helps Wright, maybe it helps Bay. Wright used to, you know, kill the ball to right center field. Good block there by Avila behind the plate.
But more than anything, you saw the 150-some games compared to 130.
Yep.
You know, and that's the biggest difference, because he might be coming during the season. You come back from an injury at different times. Well, you're probably not 100% at that moment. So it might be a few more days or even a week where you might struggle,
right,
while it's still healing completely.
You hope, because that's one of those injuries that real hard to ever be 100% from. Scherzer nibbling. He even looks kind of frustrated on the mound. I think that's more with himself.
Yes, he had him set up great for a changeup there, and he just pulled it down and in a little bit. And, you know, as a pitcher, you want to make those put away pitches, and when you don't, you know, now he's back in a 2-2 count. It's still his advantage, but you're frustrated when you miss that big pitch.
Valdespin, remember the first inning, lined a shot to center field that was caught. He worked the 3-2 count, been involved in a double play today. And given the injuries, why not? You know, here's your chance. Open some eyes. It works in New York. Jeremy Lin did it for a few weeks. Yeah. It works.
Becomes a big story.
It really does. And quickly, you know, Lin was the story, and now they're ready to get rid of the coach there because he's lost the team. All that happened like in the matter of 3.5 weeks.
In a month time.
Top of the 3rd inning here in Lakeland, Florida. Mets and the Tigers. 2-2 pitch to Jordani Valdespin. Runner goes again. This one on the ground to Inge. It hits the base runner. He's out. I don't think that Matt Dendecker ever looked once he heard that call and bat meet. He's got to give a cursory glance to give Inge the out on that play.
Well, it's a hit and run, so, you know, he should be looking back to see where, you know, when you hear that contact, you should be looking back to see where the ball is to pick it up. It's not, I don't think that was a straight steal, so, you know, you got to be looking to pick up the ball.
He's looking.
Well, he's looking to the outfield, but yeah.
I didn't even see Inge. A lot of times the middle infielders will kind of fake work.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that. Dougie?
Mark and Carl, no question. You're absolutely correct. He needed to look in there. You know, young guy. Anytime the ball's going through the zone, you have motion, and you know it's a hitter's account where he's going to be swinging the bat. You have to look in, read the play, and then you can make your adjustments. There's no reason you get hit by the ball in that situation.
Yeah, and that one squared him up. I mean, that was mid-calf, mid-thigh. Didn't glance off him.
It might leave a mark.
Scherzer over. Now, the Mets have had base runners in every inning. They left 2 on in the last inning. Justin Turner singled in his first at bat.
Yeah, you got to give Scherzer some credit. He has fallen behind. He's thrown a lot of pitches, but what he has done is when he's needed to make a pitch, he has done that. And, you know, 1 up behind in the count is when you really need to do those things where you can't miss location up over the middle of the plate. And he's made some quality pitches when he's been behind.
Throws over. Our ESPN Baseball Tonight and Baseball Tonight Insider colleague Buster Olney sent an email to me talking about some of the numbers on Scherzer last year. 33 starts, and of those allowed 2 runs or less in 19, but he had 6 starts of 6 or more runs. And I guess the perception, according to Buster, among evaluators on Scherzer, the 0-2 pitch, there's a swing and a miss, is that he's really bright and sometimes suffers from that, paralysis by analysis. He overthinks things. You buy that as a concept as a pitcher?
Well, there are times. Sometimes pitchers make things more difficult on themselves. Rather than this game is hard, and you don't want to make it any harder than it already is. So, you want to take those basics. A guy like him maybe sometimes struggles with his command. Take those halves of the plate. Take the inner half and the outer half, and just try to pound those. Don't try to be too fine, because when you're too fine is when you miss and you fall behind.
We'll be able to talk to Jim Leyland about that coming up in between innings. We'll ask him what he thought of Scherzer's performance. Really what Jim and Gene Lamont discussing down there, and their focus really is on that 5th starter and maybe a bullpen guy. Other than that, barring injuries, they're looking pretty good. And just missed.
See, and that's one thing. I'm not saying he's frustrated, but when you just miss on those pitches, he's trying to throw strikes. He's trying to command his fastball, but he's just off just by that little bit. And when you're off just that little bit, the umps aren't going to give you those calls. If you're pounding the strike zone and pounding at those close ones, they tend to give you a few more of those.
60 total pitches for Max Scherzer. And what is his 3rd start of the spring? Quickly over to first, high throw. Valdez in the minors stole over 40 bases.
And here's a good spring training thing. Scherzer's obviously paying attention to him. This is the time when you work on your move. You vary your looks to home. You change your times. That's part of what you have to do during the season, and now's the time you work on that.
Good change up there. They've got Murphy to swing over the top of it and foul it down the first baseline to Prince. Talked to Prince earlier this morning, had just a big smile on his face the whole time. Talked about how so many fans remember him as a little boy. And how many he claim they played with him on the Little League team.
Of course.
He said, I don't remember having 500 teammates, but that's certainly what it feels like. Everybody played with me when I was a little boy and playing Little League in Detroit.
And everybody either struck him out or they knew somebody who struck him out.
Right. That's a scary proposition, though, huh? Prince Fielder in a Little League uniform. When we saw him hitting balls out of Tiger Stadium, he was a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
12-year-olds play Little League. It's a tough spot for a pitcher to be in when he steps stride up to the plate.
That's not what you want to look at.
No.
200-foot fences? How do you think those fences?
Probably not. Probably didn't hold them.
No. Well, if Tiger Stadium could, those fences weren't.
And there isn't now a stadium that can. What do you think was the bigger offseason move, the Pujols or this one?
I think probably the Prince side.
Valdez goes. Sevilla throws down. They're not going to get him. Good speed.
Alberts was a great move for Anaheim and what it did, but what Prince did for this, especially losing Martinez, when Victor got hurt, what this does for this lineup, defensively moving Cabrera to third is going to be a little different, but having this lineup and how lethal they're going to be having a 3-4 like that, it's going to be fun to watch.
So 3-1 good count for Murphy. He looks at ball 4. So you spent some time with Albert recently? Is that what I understand?
Yeah, we golfed last week, and he's happy.
Is he a golfer?
Yeah, he's all right.
Really?
I think he shot about 85 that day.
Does he hit it? I mean, right away the first idea is he's going to just hit it a mile. Does he hit it?
No, he doesn't. He plays a little cut. It's funny when he brings the club back, the club gets in the exact position of his hitting position.
Really?
So as golfers, wrists, forearms, everything works together. His is just a baseball swing, but with golf, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. So he hits just a little cut, and he played well that day.
So what do you make of this discussion here? Just do more of the same thing you've been talking about?
Yeah, a little bit. Let's go up. This is where sometimes as a pitcher, you you know that hitter's probably looking first pitch, because pitching coach comes out, hey, let's settle down, let's get the ball down here, let's throw a good quality strike. And this is where you want to make a good pitch here, but you don't want to fall behind 1-0.
Right.
And that's that's what I said about splitting the plate. Take a half of that plate and just try to throw it there. Don't try to get too cute. Don't try to be too fine. Let's just take a half and try to throw a strike.
Zach Lutz, the cleanup hitter today for the Mets. Takes a big hack at it and fouls it straight back. That was a challenge pitch. Where would you like that percentage to be on first pitch strikes? Ideally.
To be honest with you,
100?
Well, of course. I mean, the higher the better, but that's just not a reality. But if you can, 75%, I think, are some of the best in the game.
Here's a better pitch. Now 0-2 with the stuff he has, you'd figure bury him.
Exactly, and this is where there's times in the past maybe he's made some mistakes over the plate with 0-2 pitches, and what you don't want to see is you try to throw a nasty 0-2 pitch, and then you bounce it or something, and then you next thing you know you're 2-2. That's what you want to be careful of.
Well, he did it. He bounced it.
But you don't want to throw a strike there. You want to get him to chase something. It's just you'd like to throw that a little bit closer to the plate to possibly get a swing.
A strikeout guy like Scherzer, you don't want him to throw a strike there.
Well, not a strike. Yeah, exactly. There's hittable strikes and there's non-hittable strikes.
Here's your 1-2 with Valdespin in good speed on second base. That one looks like it hit him. And so it continues to go poorly for Max Scherzer. Ahead in the count 0-2. And now a hit batter and bases are loaded. Maybe Jim Leland's going to make a change here.
See, I would have liked to have seen this fastball in on the 0-2 pitch. Throw something in under his hands. Obviously, he's not trying to hit him, but I'd like to see that on the 0-2 pitch, get him back off the plate. Then you can throw that slider down and away.
Leland comes out and takes the ball from Scherzer, and he is, after 68 pitches, going to head to the showers and leave the bases loaded. Looks like Casey Crosby is going to be coming in and taking over with 3 men on. No, you talked about it at the top. That's going to be one of the keys, obviously, is the guys behind Verlander. And for Scherzer, this was a troubling day. Tiger headlines coming into this season were the guys in the corners, Prince Fielder. Now at first, Miguel Cabrera moves to third. And will Max be the #2 starter behind Verlander? And how effective will he be? Do they have enough in the outfield? Austin Jackson as the leadoff hitter. And then, of course, Delman Young, who, when healthy, is really good. Those are just some of the headlines for the Tigers as they look to repeat as American League Central Division champions. They won 95 games last year. And, of course, Victor Martinez was a big part of that. Well, Victor was hurt this year, so that's really what precipitated the money and the move to get Prince Fielder. Victor's not on these subtractions because he's still on the team. He's just not able to play. But Ordonez, Guillen, Wilson Betemit, Brad Penny, and Ryan Perry are all out. And there's a great article on ESPN.com today about the next time that Octavio Dotel appears in a Major League game for the Tigers. As Dave Dombrowski picks him up, he will set a Major League record. 13 different teams in 13 years.
I played with them in Oakland
sure
as
you
one
did.
of them. There's not many people who can say they didn't play with
Exactly. But there's Dave Dombrowski, the general manager of the Tigers. And that relationship between general manager, ownership, and manager, this one works really smoothly here. Between Mike Ilitch, the owner, Dave Dombrowski, and Jim Leland. And there are others around the majors that do the same, but this is a pretty well-oiled machine.
Yeah, not all do.
No.
When you have the ones that do, that's awfully special because you guys they can obviously all talk about the same things. They agree on certain moves, they disagree on certain moves, and you need to have that.
All right, so we'll see what Casey Crosby can offer. He was with Erie last year, the AA affiliate of the Tigers. Strikeouts to walks, a little less than 2-1, but the bases are loaded. New York Mets. Mike Baxter, who is playing left field today. Ground ball, first pitch. Inge is going to charge it. You can't flip it, and the Mets are on the board. Almost looked like he was thinking about just using his glove to shovel it, and then he tried to get it into his hand.
Yeah, it's really a do or die play. You know, you can't take too much time with it. It's either a flip or a pickup and a flip, and when he came up with it, it looks like it just popped out of his glove.
In the same way that Fielder obviously is new to the Tigers, Cabrera is new to third base. Inge has done a good job here during the spring at second base, but as much as his versatility is an asset, this is still a new position for him as well.
Well, anytime I think when you're just, I mean, he obviously can play a lot of different positions, but when you're bouncing around like that, that's not always the easiest thing. But that's why they have him on the team, is because he is able to do those things.
So base is still loaded. Casey Crosby in relief of Scherzer. Look out. Ooh, was that sizzled into the seats down the left field line. Good news is there's not a lot of hurried movement over there, so it looks thankful that nobody was hit by that baseball. Tolley even jumped back after he hit it. Those are scary moments.
Fans don't always realize how quick that ball can get on you and how much you need to be paying attention.
Two-1 to Josh Tolley inside, 3-1. So Tiger pitchers are hurting themselves with their inability to throw the strikes here. Max Scherzer started, then left after hitting Zach Lutz with a pitch to load the bases. Mike Baxter with an infield single made it 1-0, and now a 3-1 pitch to Tolley. That almost got him. Ball 4, 2-0 Mets.
Well, Leland puts a young guy in a big situation. You know, they want to see how he responds to it and how he handles it. And, you know, he made a good pitch with the ground ball to Inge. Wasn't able to make the play, but the last thing you want to do is come in and then walk the next guy, especially when it's lefty on lefty.
Adam Lowen, as this inning continues to be extended. Crosby misses badly with that pitch. Lowen, the 8th batter of the inning. Remember, Dendecker led this off, was walked, and then got hit by a ground ball. It seems like 3 innings ago.
It does.
It's a fastball that misses, so Gene Lamont.
Just looks like somebody whose things are moving a little too quick for him right now. You know, he's got to slow it down, and that's why Lamont's going out right now, just to talk to him, to slow the game down. Sometimes as a young guy, this game can get going a little bit quick, and your head starts spinning, and you can't seem to think straight. I know it happened to me early in my career, and it's a learning experience. But when you're able to slow that game down, it becomes a lot easier.
He took a look at the available pitchers for Leland this year, and it's very good. Looking at Andy Oliver maybe as the 5th starter, he was very impressive in his last outing. It's a beautiful thing about baseball. You even touched on it with all the expectations. I mean, really, with the lineup that the Mets brought here, that they would be winning 2-0 with the bases loaded here.
Goes to show you why you got to play the game. You know, we talked about it. You know, there's all this talk about the Detroit's lineup and how many runs they're going to score in this. But you know, if you look in years past, those teams with those amazing lineups that are supposed to score 1,000-some runs, that doesn't always happen like that.
Right. Lutz, Baxter, Tolley, they are the 3 base runners, and a second consecutive walk. Ball 4. The Mets are up 3-0. Jim Leland doesn't seem inclined to be getting up. And we have to talk with Jim after this half inning.
I'm sure he'll be happy.
We had a walk, a hit by pitch, a single, a walk, and a walk. And Max Scherzer, you saw there sitting on the dugout bench, is responsible for a lot of this. But right now, Crosby can't find the plate at all. How do you slow it down? How do you kind of say?
Well, it's almost, he should almost, if right there, he should either the catcher just tell him to stay, you know, get the catchers kind of do a little signal telling you to step back off the mound, collect yourself.
That one's in for a strike. Crowd erupts.
And sometimes now when you get that first one, now, you know, it helps you to settle down now that he's thrown that one.
Tough crowd here. The Tigers are 7-1-3 so far this spring, and they're Bronx cheering them. That one misses. Expectations are really high.
I didn't know if those were the Mets fans or the Tigers fans cheering.
The Mets fans have had so little to cheer about. This is a welcome relief for them to be leading the Tigers 3-0. Way out of play and onto the concourse here. So 2-2. We're in the third. Tigers haven't even batted around yet. They haven't even had their 8-9 hitters hit yet.
This game kind of hit the brakes after those first 2 innings.
Here's your 2-2 off speed pitch lined into the left. Young's not going to get it. One run's going to score. Here's your throw to the plate. Not cut off, and slap tag is there. Runner is out. They get the 4th run now. And a good throw by Delman Young to Avila to end the nightmare that was the 3rd inning for the Tigers. So the Tigers, who do have a prodigious offense, are going to have to do some digging out of some holes here.
You can see Delman Young charging this thing hard, makes a good, strong throw, and that's what you want to see from an outfielder, a one hop that's able to be cut off, and he makes a great throw.
Now, Avila was able to get the tag on him, but a frustrating inning certainly for the Tigers. Jim Leland is joining us down on the field. I wish we were having you, Jim. Carl Ravitch and Mark Mulder join us with you guys leading 3-zip, but this is the reality of the spring. What did you see from Scherzer today?
Well, I thought he threw the ball outstanding, but obviously his pitch count got way up too fast, too high too fast. And, that's what spring training's for, trying to get that down and, strike one. And I thought he threw the ball exceptionally well, but we wanted to throw 70 pitches today, and I think he was at 65. Right. And it worked out okay because we got a left-hander that is a possibility of making the club, and they had 3 left-handers in a row, so it actually worked out perfect for us. But I thought Scherzer threw the ball great, but the command was not good.
We were here earlier, Jim. I know that Bosch was in the original lineup. He hit a ball probably 450 feet, and then he wasn't in the lineup. Is he okay? What did he do?
Yeah, he's okay. I think he just tweaked his back a little bit when he hit that one over the scoreboard. I tell him all the time, it doesn't matter how far you hit him. They only count one. But he unloaded on one, and I think he, tweaked his back. But he's fine. There's nothing wrong with him.
It struck me coming here today and watching the team that you have, Jim, that you've been around this game for so long and have had so much success and taken teams to World Series in both leagues. Rather than put this team in some type of category or ranking, what has been the most talented team that you've been able to manage? And if you want to leave this one out or you want to include it, going into a season, where's the most talent you've had?
Well, obviously that 97 Florida Marlins team was a very talented team. That was the team that won the World Series, so it's hard to pick one over that. Although I had some real good teams in Pittsburgh, and we had a real good ball club here last year. So it remains to be seen how good this one is, but this should rank up there right with most of them.
Yeah. Well, listen, we appreciate you joining us, Jimmy. Thanks. Good luck the rest of the spring, and we'll see you during the regular season.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right. What do you make of that sort of calm voice when he's describing Scherzer? I would think that would put me in a comfortable position. You hear the way he talked about it? I thought he threw it great.
Well, and that's what I said, though. But when he did fall behind, he did throw great. He did pitch well. He made some very good pitches when he needed to. And that's good to see, but it's just, as Leland said, it's just the falling behind and the getting behind early in the count that needs to be changed.
All right, so the Tigers send Matt Young up. He's the 8th hitter. The Mets seemingly have sent 40 to the plate. The Tigers now having their 8th guy come up. What do you make of Leland as a manager? You played for La Russa, and of course, it seems like when you mention one, you always mention the other. Now Tony's out of the game as a manager.
Well, it's the old school guys, you know. Not that they're any different. It's just they know what it takes to win during a year. They don't panic. They know when things are supposed to be said. You know, if you're on a losing streak during the season, I mean, you know, playing for La Russa, I enjoyed it because there were things that he would do, especially with the media. You know, where he would make he'd make some sort of a distraction when we'd have a 6 or 7 game losing streak. And it took the writers off of writing about our team,
put the attention
and put it on him, and put it on something else. And it's not something as a player that I realized early in my career, but then when I went to St. Louis, I started to notice some of the things that he did and just how much it worked.
You know, Collins, I think is probably, and I'm not even sure old school, given that we worked with Bobby Valentine last year. Now he's back. That old school label, and I understand what it means. I wonder how they think about that. You want to be known as an old school manager? Because the qualities you're talking about are great qualities.
Absolutely. And it's not that it's old school. It's just, you know, the guys change. You know, baseball changes.
Right.
You didn't see the showmanship and some of the things that players do these days, 10, 15, 20, 30. You didn't see that then, you know, and that's, you know, Leland mentioned his Pittsburgh teams, you know, and that's, you didn't see that then. So the game changes, and it's just, I think it's more you say old school just because they've been around a long time.
Right. So Quentin Berry's the 9-hitter after the strikeout. He comes up, squares to bunt, and lets it go. Ball 1. You know, Mike Matheny takes over in St. Louis, and we saw a lot of movement with DN going to the Miami Marlins. Bobby coming back to manage Boston. How that fits when it comes to putting the pieces of the puzzle together. As Matheny's assuming a great position there in St. Louis. Bobby's taken over a really good team. Obviously, things in Miami look really good. But the manager...
It's not always the easiest thing to come into a situation like that, because whether it's Boston, St. Louis, you know, they're expecting you to go out and win.
Tough play here if it's even capable of being made, and it's not.
You know, when you're supposed to go out, St. Louis coming off a World Series, you know, if they start off the season struggling or this, that, you know, who they're going to try to blame the players? They're going to blame it on Matheny. They're going to blame it on somebody.
Albert leaving.
Yeah,
front
exactly.
office, yeah. Dylan G has given up just 2 hits to this lineup, but he's only faced the meat of it once. That's a great pitch. Berry is gone. 2 men down. I want to remind everybody that later tonight ESPN's got an NBA doubleheader and 2 good games. One of them could be great. 76ers and Pacers, Iguodala and they're not a surprise anymore, but the very good 76ers meet Danny Granger and the Pacers, 9:30 Eastern. Dwayne Wade, LeBron, the Heat. They go to Chicago to take on Rose and the Bulls in what could be a preview of the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals. It's the NBA on ESPN, ESPN3, and streaming live on ESPN3 as well, and your Watch ESPN app. 4-0 Mets leading the Tigers. Santiago fouls that one out of play. An NBA thing, it's last night the Heat lose a close game late. Now they got to deal with the Bulls. It's like every night there seems to be a tough test.
It does seem like it. I grew up a big Bulls fan, so it's fun to see them back doing well.
And rumors of them pursuing Pau Gasol of the Lakers. You'd be good with that?
Yeah.
You don't want to give up a lot.
No. Well, you got Derrick Rose, so you're okay.
You're good there. Santiago grazed. And he goes to first. Now we're into the 2-3-4 for the Tigers.
Yeah, I was just going to say how well Dylan G, after that long half inning, has come out here and really thrown strikes, and then he comes out and hits somebody.
Inge has all sorts of home run pop as well. He was another one of those guys. And he makes it look really kind of smooth when he swings. You know that?
There's not a lot of effort.
No, and it jumps.
He doesn't try to do too much. You know, I played with him in the Cape Cod League in 90, dating myself, but it was 97, I believe. He was our shortstop. And he had just as much pop then.
So you're in the Cape Cod League in 97. Leland is winning a World Series.
Yeah.
Marlins in 97. Well, he was talking about his, you mentioned his off-season workout, a lot of martial arts, mixed martial arts, do a lot of weightlifting, but wanted to stay flexible. And
yeah, he said he enjoyed it. He said, you know, it was something different. He's like, listen, I'm getting older. And I said, yeah, tell me about it. So we're pretty much, I think we're the same age. So, you know, he's like, I wanted to try something different. I've done the other things. I've had a few injuries the last few years, and you know, he wanted to just mix it up a little bit. He said it was awesome. He enjoyed it.
He also has a newfound respect for the mixed martial arts guys.
Yes.
This one fouled back. But he said one of the guys he's working with, one of the trainers who seems to know a lot about the physics of the body and the science of where the power comes from. He said he showed him a tape of Prince Fielder, some video, and said that he was basically able to utilize his body more effectively than any hitter he'd seen. Talked about the hips and the leg drive and all that. Good pitch. Dylan G looks real good so far. So do the Mets. Tigers offense kind of slumbering right here. Dylan G's got him in a sleeper hold.
My first year, I was number 74. I think the second year, I was 73. And then I jumped down to 2.
My first number was 86, and one of the guys told me, you know what that means, right? No. He goes, well, you'll be 86th out of here.
First time I got called over, I was number 88, starting wide receiver for the New York Mets.
It takes me back to my first spring training. They Velcro your name on the back of your jersey.
Ricky Henderson told me back in the Mets days that if your numbers add up to over 10, you're not making the squad.
And there he is. Number 68, Matt Dendecker, leading things off.
But at least his name's on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, most of those high numbers come without any letters attached to it. Just numbers. But we're going 68, then 61 here for the Mets to lead off the 4th inning. Up 4-zip. Crosby pours in a breaking ball. Here's Jordani Valdesben. He's number 61. He bats second this inning. I think so. Crunkies, I think, was mid-40s. We asked him, pitchers sometimes have high numbers anyway. What was the highest number you had?
Well, I was lucky. I was what you call one of those bonus babies, I guess you might say. So I went into my first camp and I had number 19.
So you never went high digits.
No, I wasn't. And then I went to AAA that year, and Oakland signed Kevin Apier, so he took 19. And my following spring training was number 20, and that's what I stuck with.
How about you, Dougie?
My first gig, I was number 31, so not too bad. And eventually they called up another guy who looked like my twin, Kevin Foster, and they gave him my number. So I went down to 1, and then, of course, One Dog Lance Johnson came over, and he took my number off my back. So I had to go to 8, and then finally I got to 6. So I eventually trickled my way down to single digits.
Yeah, and never left them. That's good.
Nope.
Were you aware of the high number thing?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, I did play in one exhibition game before I was on the roster, and I was probably in the 70s. So you never want to be part of what I call the mystery meat. You know, you're like the mystery meat lineup here. I mean, you have to sneak up on everybody. But most of these guys have been through that, so it's sort of part of your rite of passage. And when you get that single digit, you appreciate it.
All right, Avila, who basically disrobed, the mask came off, then the helmet came flying, the glasses stayed on. He makes that catch on a tough pop-up. So 2 down.
I think for most guys, if it's under 50, it's a plus. And once you get over the 50s, you know, there's, unless you chose it,
like 99, yeah, unless you.
Yeah, when it's 60, 70, 80s.
I think there's something kind of refreshing about it. If you said, you know what, I want to be 81. I just want to go that way.
Well, I remember in Oakland when I was with Zito, he was 53 when he came up as a rookie, and he chose 75.
Yeah.
And he's still 75.
I like that. Not like football, where you kind of have certain numbers reserved for the linemen and the wideouts and the quarterbacks, running backs.
But this game does seem like position players.
That's what the Tiger fans wants to see. Miguel Cabrera backhand one and throw across the diamond. That's half the equation. The other half of the equation is to watch him hit a ball out of the park. We'll get a chance to see if that happens when we come back. There you go. Well, we got ourselves a game here from the Mets' perspective. They're winning 4-0. It's a good time to get out, but you got to get back to your seat quick because the big boys are coming up. We are planted, and we want to see this. It's Cabrera and it's Prince Fielder. They lead off the bottom of the 4th now for the Detroit Tigers, who are trailing 4-0. Cabrera strikeout victim in his first at bat. Fielder did get a single. Cool, clear, crisp day, cool by Florida standards. And the first pitch to Cabrera, off speed, pitches in for a strike. Dylan G has a real plan against these guys.
He's done a good job. He's changed speeds. He's located his fastball. That's what we talked about, you know, with Scherzer. Location is so big in this game. When you locate, no matter with what pitch, especially your fastball, it opens up all the other pitches, and you can be so much more effective.
Cabrera 30 and 100 every year. Another one off speed, just misses. A lot of people pointing at Brennan Bosch if he's going to hit second, and you know, this entire Tiger lineup has the ability to get on base, that his RBIs and his season could be monstrous.
Well, he's gonna see a lot of fastballs hitting in front of these guys, because as a pitcher, your mindset when you know you have these two guys coming up is you don't want guys on base. Well, if you fall behind Bosch 1-0 or you fall behind 2-1, whatever it is, you can't just start throwing off-speed pitches trying to trick them, because then you're going to walk them, and next thing you know, here come these two guys with guys on base, and that's when the trouble really begins.
2-2. Checker first, no swing. You're not going to punch him out here. All these paying fans, spring training, they're here to see. They're wearing a uniform.
Fans don't want to see two of them. Got them the first time, but they don't want to see another one.
A walk for Prince. So Cabrera goes to first. And that sets the table for him. You know, you watch him take batting practice, and you get close to the cage, and every swing he took, if he didn't square it up, he would mutter to himself. And I said after, is every ball, you know, you want to hit every ball out of the park? And he just said, no, just hard somewhere. But it felt like he wanted to hit everyone over the fence.
Yeah, as a guy like him, he's trying to hit everything as hard as he possibly can. There's no lack of effort. It's a hard swing. And just for someone as big as he is and as hard as he hits it, something hard has a chance of getting through. And that's all he wants, is to take good swings and make good contact.
So off speed to start Cabrera, off speed to start Prince. Neither swung at it. Now ahead again in this count, 0-1. That was a pitch there. This is the pitch sequence to Miguel.
It's a get me over curveball is all he's trying to do there. Strike one. He's trying to go in, yanks it away. Another curveball just misses down and away. There he's trying to go in, gets away with one over the plate as well as he goes the other way. Right there, that's a good pitch. If he got that down a little bit, Cabrera would have chased that or it would have jammed him. But that was a good pitch there.
Who do you think leads the team in home runs this year? Cabrera, Fielder, Bosch, Young?
It's hard to go against Prince.
0-2. That one is ripped into right field, and it is gone. Hard to go against him, and Fielder delivers, and just like that, after a walk to Cabrera, Fielder hits his second of the spring. That's where a walk to somebody like Cabrera can really bite you.
Well, it shows you this offense how quickly things can change when you have guys that pop up and down this lineup. One home run changes what this game looks like real quick.
Now the other question is how many back-to-back home runs can this team hit? The 20th home run of the spring, which leads all American League teams.
That was right into that wind also.
Yeah. Young laces this one to center field, and it is caught in that wind you're talking about. Wow. Dendecker did a full sprint and then had to put the brakes on, but that was squared up. Leland had a chance to listen to Bryce Harper take batting practice, and all he said was, that's a loud sound his bat makes, and this team's got a lot of guys that make loud. That was a loud sound from Young.
Yeah, just when we were standing around watching BP, you watched the Tigers, obviously, with their A lineup pretty much in the cage. The sound of their bats, and the Mets having a lot of guys hurt, it's minor league guys. It was two completely different batting practice that we watched.
Yep. Alex Avila pulls that one foul. He was hurt towards the end of the year last year as well. I said to him, batting practice a little different this year. And this was after the first group was hitting, not the second group. He said, just wait. The first group has Inge and who else was in the first group? It was Young. Well, Bosch was in the first group, and he was killing the ball. He said, just wait till the next guys come up. It's expensive. You're hitting all these balls over the fence. There's a cost here.
Well, there's no fans yet in the stadium yet when the Tigers were taking BP, so they had a few of their guys up on the lawn out there in left field, kind of collecting them and throwing them back.
Retrieving.
And then right field is pretty much their bullpen and parking lot, so they might be able to get those back too.
Right. So, Doug, how about batting practice, the impressive teams you've been a part of, or was what you witnessed today something you've never seen before?
You just heard electric sounds off these guys' bats. I mean, they just have the power, and you can see the confidence that's coming with it. And I think that's one of the things that Prince Fielder is going to bring. It's that swagger. He's been there. They know that this is the key piece that puts them over the top. And everybody just looked like they were very confident and comfortable in the batter's box. And they're going to get contributions all up and down that lineup, not just from Cabrera and Fielder.
Yeah, we've talked about numbers. You take a look at the Tiger projected lineup. Bosch, Cabrera, Fielder, Young. That's very scary. And it's, of course, Alex Avila, not Aviles, who's going to be the catcher. We got your jersey number. What cycle would you hit in on the Tigers? Would you be in the first group, or the second, third?
Well, for me, I'd probably be in the seventh, maybe.
Caught by the third baseman, Wilmer Flores. And that retires the side, but a little thunder off the bat of Prince Fielder. Alder says hard to pick against him to lead this team in home runs. And he doesn't miss many. Dylan G's first mistake ends up in a palm tree. We'll continue spring training baseball. Dylan G in the dugout talking about Maybe the last half inning where he gave up that home run to Prince Fielder after the walk to Miguel Cabrera, but he's been really effective, Mark, all right? 2 runs.
Yeah, he's been awesome. He's done a great job of locating his fastball, but more than anything, his changeup today was outstanding. That's double play right here is on a changeup. The strikeout to Cabrera is a changeup. He's mixed in a few good breaking balls. There's a changeup inside, and then you're going to see a couple sliders down and in. And, you know, he's kept these guys off balance and done a good job.
So, given Johan Santana's health, he's going to pitch again Friday through a bullpen session yesterday. And Dylan G, you know, for a team that hasn't had a lot of positives, this has certainly been one, given that he's facing such a good lineup, an American League lineup, and one of the best in baseball.
Nice.
Max Scherzer started for the Tigers and was equally ineffective, although threw very good pitches, if you ask Jim Leland. As that ball is away, let's go down to Doug for some thoughts on the starting pitchers.
Well, there's no doubt for Dylan G, that was a very positive start. His issue has been just wearing down because he's trying to be too fine and doing too much too soon with all his pitches. He was much more aggressive, more precise, and sure, Fielder got one, but he was attacking the zone. And the thing about G's situation with the Mets is he doesn't have the Valverde, the type of closer situation where he can afford to come out early. They have sort of more of a bridge to nowhere versus the Tigers. Scherzer can afford to be a little bit less precise because he can get the bridge he needs to get to that Valverde, that back end of the bullpen, and close it out. So G is going to be much more important to him to be more aggressive than it is Scherzer.
And sometimes I know with G in the past, you know, he comes out in that first inning, he's showing him all his pitches right out of the chute. You know, you want to come out and you don't want to always have to do that, because the more you do that, the later in the game when you have less to go to. You have less options because these guys have already seen all of your pitches. They've seen the way you're going to attack them, and unless you're able to change that up and make adjustments throughout the game, it's tough to go deep.
So you want to have a few in your back pocket?
Absolutely.
Or one.
Yeah, if you just come out and, you know, say your curveball's your out pitch and you come out in the first inning and you got somebody 0-2 and you're going breaking ball, well, that's telling them, hey, this is my out pitch, this is what I'm coming at you with. Well, then you get in the 6th, 7th inning and you need to make that pitch, and you got to have other things to go to, or he hasn't seen that yet.
Did you continue to develop pitches as you played, or were you kind of set by year, 2 or 3 of your career?
When I started, I mostly threw sinkers. All my fastballs were pretty much sinkers, and I had a curveball and a changeup, and I never really liked my changeup, so I started throwing a split. And in my rookie year especially, I had trouble getting in on right-handed hitters, so I started throwing a little cutter slider, and it wasn't one or the other. It was, I don't really know what it was. It was just something to try to get that right half of the plate and get in on guys. And when I was able to do that and learn not to pick with it and just to throw it and let it work, it helped me be a lot more successful.
This is Zach Lutz with Mike Baxter on deck after Daniel Murphy flew out to Delman Young in left field. That's a walk for Crosby. Let's take a look at the Met rotation, and really Santana kind of changes everything here if he's able to go. And so far, there's been no indication that he won't be. But as Terry Collins told me earlier, you start getting those starts where you throw 70 to 80 to 85 pitches. You see how it responds to shoulder the next day. Pelfrey has been hit around a lot. John Neese, Dickey, and G, the 5 that he plans on bringing out there in the rotation. And again, Santana is such a wild card and all that.
Yeah, if he comes back to close to form, obviously you don't know what to expect when you have a shoulder injury and arm strength and stuff like that. You don't know how he's going to respond later in spring or when the season starts, when you start to hit that first wall. But, if he is healthy and does a good job, it's a big plus for them.
Huge. Then you wonder how quick Trey talk's going to start as Avila goes out to talk to Crosby. How quickly you think, and Leland's also coming out, how quickly that talk is going to be if the Mets aren't healthy or if they don't perform well. It's Johan Santana. Do they move him and bring back some pieces to rebuild? This is this action from earlier this spring. 2010, his ERA was sub-3. And he literally, if you didn't know it, if you had kind of gone to the moon, you wouldn't know that he had anything wrong with him. The way he's throwing,
he looks outstanding. Same. Right there, just watching his motion from everything that I've seen and all the times I played against him, his delivery, everything looks the same, and that's a big plus.
Yeah. Not that we all go to the moon. I just meant that sort of hypothetically. If you had checked out of baseball, you'd think, yeah, Mets have Santana. He looks great.
Yep.
It'll be interesting because there are a lot of teams that could probably use another really good starting pitcher. Where the Mets find themselves come trade deadline or even earlier, if they're not in the race. Now this is a team, the Tigers, loaded with all-star caliber players, and certainly with the fantasy leagues beginning to take shape and drafts set to take place. There's a few guys on this roster who are going to be selected, including Justin Verlander. That ball is fouled back. We'll take a look at where some of the guys on these teams would rank as far as fantasy goes. Cabrera's pointing to Young and looking at fielder saying, see how strong that guy is over there?
They might be picked kind of high.
I think they'd be real high. This one is a gap shot. Will it hang up long enough for Young to run it down? It does. And he throws it back in. Mike Baxter hit it hard, but Young was able to run it down.
You can see Young move right away, gets a great jump on that ball, and makes the catch.
You know, Austin Jackson's going to be in center field. He can run down anything.
We were saying earlier, what would you say? He just looks fast.
He does. He was out on the field earlier. He does. He gets on, and you know, even during batting practice, when you're on first base and somebody hits a ground ball, you move to second. He moves so much quicker than everyone else. Slice down the line and left. It's going to go foul. Really fast guys never seem to touch the ground. They kind of, you know, the sprinters, their feet just don't touch the ground.
And you can almost tell just in the way they walk.
Yeah.
It's just the way that their feet touch the ground when they walk that you can tell how fast they are.
It's an interesting question. And maybe later in the game we'll ask Doug, leadoff hitter, what the Tigers should do in a perfect world, because Austin Jackson's, you know, struck out too many times, didn't get on base enough. There's Cabrera. Looks like he was inching towards his left, has to reach back to his right to make the play. So the big boys, Fielder and Cabrera, figuring in this game like you'd expect. Home runs, defense, midway through. ESPN Fantasy Baseball is back on ESPN.com. Real-time scoring, expert advice. Manage your team and do it all on the go from your mobile phone. ESPN Fantasy Baseball. Sign up for free at ESPN.com/fantasy baseball. Maybe a future fantasy baseball program. It's a break on that pitch.
Nice little curveball.
That was a little.
Now people are going to get mad because the kid's throwing breaking balls.
When did you throw your first breaking ball?
I always threw one.
You did?
Yeah.
On purpose?
Yeah, I always threw over the top curveball when I was little.
Wow. Okay, kids. We got a game going on, but not of interest to everybody. Chuck James is the new pitcher. Think we're going to get a tackle here? Are we dancing? What are we doing? Yeah, down we go.
They're busy playing.
Yep. Ground ball second. Valdespin throws it over. Sticking with a fantasy theme. Top 10 fantasy players. Who do you think is number 1? Miguel Cabrera. Then Albert, Matt Kemp, Ryan Braun is 4, Bautista, the Blue Jays 5, Tulowitzki, Cano, Ellsbury, Justin Upton, and Joey Votto. The top 10 overall on ESPN Fantasy. And of course, then you get into specific positions and whatnot. Prince Fielder at first base. Brennan Bosch is going to be on some. Delman Young should be on some teams.
I know nothing about fantasy. I know that those are all really good players, though.
You can see the fantasy injury concerns on the bottom line on our baseball game right now. Josh Johnson, they talk about the shoulder, the DL with the inflammation in May, so all sorts of information. What you really need to know, I think, about fantasy is that for the most part, it mirrors reality. I mean, the bench players are the ones that get picked first.
Yeah.
And the fantasy part is you can have, especially this year, you can draft Cabrera as a first baseman, move him over to third, and have Prince Fielder as well on the same team. So you can do some kind of fantasy-like
reality.
thing. Yeah, which is, well, I guess you're right. It is. In this case, it is reality. I always recall the fantasy part of it being like you can make trades like every minute. And that just doesn't happen. Berry gets a walk. It does come quickly on this team. Wow, we're already back to this with Santiago and then Inge and Cabrera.
The lineup turns over real quick when they start swinging the bats.
They're just lingering there. So Ramon Santiago, who's like Ryan Rayburn, and has had a very good spring for the Tigers. See, Josh Toley's no longer catching. Mike Nicholas takes over behind the plate. Keese. With Tim Burdick out too, and you see Chuck James on the mound now, is that they're going to need a lefty. They don't have a real lefty that they can count on. So every audition.
Used to be a starter with Atlanta.
Yep.
And converting to the bullpen.
Throw down to second, not nearly in time, sliding underneath the tag. Quentin Berry can move too, so that's a second center fielder the Tigers have that can run.
You can see he gets a really good jump, and really when it's lefty on lefty, you're going or you're not going. So if James would have thrown over, he would have been a dead duck. But right there, he got a great jump and made it easily.
Doug, hard to run against a lefty usually.
Well, there's no doubt he kind of went first move, and sometimes after you watch a guy a few times, you should be watching him during his warm-ups, watching him work. He saw something and he took off on first move. So a lot of lefties have a little pattern. They may turn their leg in, they may tuck their glove. But Quentin Berry made a great move, great decision to go first move and made it safely.
And that's what I mean. You don't see a lot of, I know when I was pitching, you don't see guys, you don't lift your leg and then see the guy go.
Yep.
He's either going to go or he's not going to go. And most of the time when they get a good jump, there's not a whole lot you can do about it unless you're real quick to the plate.
Brandon Inge, strike one. missing down. Getting some breaking NBA news. We'll get that to you in just a second. But we talked about how the ship had gone so high with Lynn and then down with Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni apparently has resigned as head coach of the Knicks. The ball is kicked over there at third and thrown away. Berry's going to score. Ainge is going to get into second. But again, want to repeat the NBA news. Mike D'Antoni has resigned as head coach of the basketball team. There had been some rumors that some of the star players, including Anthony, wanted to get out of there, that he had lost control of the team. Much more on SportsCenter as well as on ESPN.com. But Mike D'Antoni out as head coach of the New York Knicks. And how quickly that happened. Here in Lakeland, Florida, the Tigers have pulled within a run. And on this hard ground ball to Wilmer Flores at third, he had to go off him, and then he just threw it away.
Well, he obviously was in a hurry, you know, trying to make a spectacular play and rushed it a little bit and threw it in the dirt.
Then, Doug, they give 2 errors on that play to Flores. Obviously, the bobble and then the throw.
Well, yes, the rule of thumb is, you know, if you make that 1 error, don't panic and turn it into 2. He still could have taken his time, collected himself, and thrown a strike. He may have gotten the runner, may not, but at least he would have kept the ball in the field. Instead, he advances the runner, run score, and that's something that just you have to think about before it happens and make that better choice.
All right, so errors can certainly cost you, and what may have been the third out, now you bring up the third hitter, and that's Cabrera. Trying to throw inside. James, ball's behind 2-0. This is going to be one of those teams where no deficit is safe, or on the other side, no lead is safe.
No, and that's what I said. With the power that they have, the game can change so quickly in a matter of one swing. A couple guys get on, as we just had here. A couple errors happen. Next thing you know, there's a couple guys on base, and somebody hits a 2 or 3 run homer.
Yep. Fielder is on deck. Four-pitch walk, and here comes Prince.
Now, see, to be honest with you, James really kind of pitched around Cabrera right there.
Yep.
You know, to get, not that fielder who you want to get, not that that's the guy you want to get to, but lefty on lefty.
This is the home run that Prince hit in the last inning. Cabrera has come out of the game. He's being pinch run for. Audie Siriaco goes in to run for him. Fielder wanted to, and then he waited on it. No swing.
Like most lefties, most of them are better hitters against righties than they are lefties. And a pitcher sometimes will pitch around a right-handed batter to purposely get to a lefty, even if it means putting more guys on base.
2-0.
But you don't want to then turn around and fall behind 2-0.
Right. And then Delman Young, who's a home run hitter himself, is standing there on deck. You really do get just how little fun it would be to pitch against this team. And the AL Central's got to do it with the Royals and the Indians and others. Here's one. Is there a competitor for the Tigers in that division?
I don't think so. I mean, I think there's a few teams that can obviously compete, but whether they're going to be there all year, I doubt. I doubt that'll happen.
2-1 to Fielder already with a home run, a second of the spring earlier today. This one hard on the ground, fielded it short, flipped behind the runner and the fielder, and bases are loaded now for Delman Young.
I'm not an infielder, but I'm pretty sure that's a play that you need to make that play to first base. That's not there's 2 outs here. There's 2 outs here. This ball's hit to the right side of second base, and you're going that way. I think it almost would have been easier to have spun and made the throw to first base, especially knowing who's running and fielder's running.
Doug, you have a thought on that?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think you got to know the situation, and you notice that he was moving back, so he kind of rushed it, and that's a timing pattern. You have to lead the fielder to the base. He kind of rushed it, didn't quite get it there, and he didn't slow up enough to make the play, and that cost him.
Gerard Head has replaced Prince, so both Cabrera and Fielder out of the game now. Delman Young, ball gets past the catcher, and in comes the tying run. Chuck James bound it. Yankees couldn't handle it. And it's all coming apart here for the Mets in this inning.
I mean, that ball hits in front of the plate there. There's not a lot more that that catcher can do to try to block that.
Fastball in for a strike to Delman Young, about 86 miles an hour. And, you know, let's remember that none of these Mets are either regulars or even in their regular positions. Inside pitch, Delman down towards the net dugout. You can feel the relentlessness of this offense. And one thing they don't generally do, like they're not as patient as teams like the Yankees and Red Sox yet, and that element of those teams drives pitchers crazy too.
It does. It really, when you have a patient team early in my career, when I would face the Yankees and some of those guys, you'd roll through some other teams' lineups, and then you get to those guys, and they're good hitters, and before you know it, your pitch counts up. Yep. And even though you're throwing strikes, your pitch counts up because they're working the counts, and they're a little bit more patient. They get more foul balls, and you don't go as deep into games.
Young sharply into right. It's going to drop. One run's going to score. 2 runs come in. And you don't have Fielder and Cabrera running. It's the pinch runners, and they both score. And the Tigers, thanks to Young's single that scored 2, now lead 6-4. And Delman Young comes out of the game and is replaced by a pinch runner.
Good piece of hitting by Young. Fastball up and away and goes with it, drives it the other way, and 2 more runs for the Tigers.
So Cabrera walked, Fielder with a single. Young, after some errors in there, delivers the 2 runs. And what felt like inevitable has arrived. Now Avila. Leland's body language has changed. He's kind of flipping the baseball now to himself.
A team with an offense like this, you can't make the errors. You can't make the mistakes because they will take advantage of it and they will make you pay for those mistakes.
Eric Patterson is the man that's now replaced Young at first. Fielder had the home run. That started the scoring for them in the 4th. Take that, take the gloves, take the showers, do it again tomorrow. And for Terry Collins and the Mets, the reality is that when you don't have your everyday lineup, and you said you're making errors, it's not going to go well.
Yeah, when you have a quote-unquote minor league team, when you have a lot of your extras and guys like that, the mistakes just can't happen against a team like this.
A couple of errors, a couple of walks, some infield singles, and it adds up to a 6-4 deficit and 2 men on for the Tigers with 2 outs as they bat in the bottom of the 5th inning. It's about a 2.5 hour bus ride, barring traffic, for the Mets from Port St. Lucie over here to Lakeland, Florida. And the Mets, fortunately for them, don't have a lot of teams that are really close to them to play. And the ones they do play tend to be in their own division. Obviously, the Tigers aren't, but the Marlins and the Nationals, Cardinals in their own league, they play them all a lot because of their proximity to Port St. Lucie.
Yeah, it's the difference between Arizona, the Cactus League, and the Grapefruit. You know, Florida, everything's spread out a lot more. You don't even play half the teams because you're not near them. But you know, in Arizona, everybody's pretty much within an hour or so, and everybody's playing everybody.
You prefer Arizona?
I did.
You
yeah.
Because you were in both, right? With Oakland and then with St. Louis.
Yeah. You know, now they don't even have Tucson anymore. The Rockies and the Diamondbacks have that new complex in Scottsdale there, and you know, there's not. We used to dread the Tucson trip, which was an hour and 40 minutes. I mean, that's nothing when you start talking about the travel in Florida.
What did you do to get out of it? Now you were pitching, so you never. What did players do to get out of that trip?
Well, there was sometimes veteran guys might volunteer to play 2-3 days in a row just so that they miss that Tucson game. I know there was one spring training where Tim Hudson and I were both throwing on the same day, and we had a split squad, one in Tucson and one in Phoenix, and we both had a side session a couple days prior, and we took 20 pitches, and the person who dotted the glove the most didn't have to go on the trip. So every now and then, not that happens very often.
And who won?
I got him by 1. So I stayed back in Phoenix, and I don't think it was a very good start. So I should have gone.
Like 4-3 or like 19-18?
I think it was like 16-14 or 15-14.
Good. Tigers are up 6-4 over the Mets. We're going to the 6th. Welcome back, everyone, to Lakeland, Florida. Carl Ravitch, Mark Mulder, and Doug Glanville. The first of 10 games. This is number 2 for us. We did the first between the Red Sox and the Miami Marlins, and now it's the Mets and the Tigers, with Detroit leading 6-4 as we play in the top of the 6th inning. Good game coming up on Monday between the Phillies and these Tigers. And an interesting article on ESPN.com from Jason Stark as he talks to Jimmy Rollins about the injuries to the Philly players. He's not positive, at least he's quoted as saying that Ryan Howard, in his opinion, comes back at all this year. And he's just, you know, he's citing the infection and whatnot, and he's wondering aloud if that's within the realm of possibility. Obviously, the Phillies don't believe that, but good article on ESPN.com from Jason Stark.
Well, I think with any serious injury, you just never know. You know, and it's not that, you know, the Phillies obviously expect him to be back and be back fine, but you don't know. You know, there's always little things that can pop up, whether it's, you know, guys' backs Achilles, whatever it might be. Little things happen and they tend to linger, but you always hope he's back sooner than later.
It's a tight breaking ball there from the new pitcher, Matt Hoffman. And Holiday is behind the plate. Ed takes over at first base. Siriaco's at third. Patterson's in center. All those guys were pinch runners in the last inning. Oof. Adam Lowen swings at the fastball in the corner, and he's gone.
First base, number 72, Jared Head. Left field, 74, Eric Patterson. Catching, 76, Brian Holiday. Now pitching for the Tigers, number 44, Matt Hoffman.
So between innings, Dougie caught up with both Prince Fielder and Miguel Cabrera as they were heading towards probably doing some more work. And he asked them some questions using both English and Spanish.
What does Prince Fielder add to your ability in terms of now having that protection behind you? Okay, so ¿qué añades Prince Fielder al equipo tuyo? Porque ahora tiene la protección para batear.
A lot, have this guy in the lineup is bringing a lot of power, a lot of protection. I think we got a lot of chance to score run. What we can do over there is play hard. Play hard, play for win games. And this guy is a work hard man, so we're gonna be ready for the season and trying, win some games.
All right, we got a new position, third base. You're learning something different here, and some people will say it puts a little pressure on batting. So tiene una posición nueva y va a poner presión en cómo bateas.
No, I think it's like two different things about defense and offenses. I think when you in defense, you gotta focus wise. You can do routine play and stuff, and when you batting, you gotta focus about getting base, drive the run, all that stuff. I think I don't have any issue with that. So I'm gonna be ready, man. I only can say I'm gonna be ready. I wanna play baseball. I wanna go out there and play hard and win games. It's all I'm worried right now. Play hard and win games.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Okay, gracias.
Gracias.
All right, Prince. Well, you got that fastball. You're looking like you're already in mid-season form. So now you have a situation you've played with a lot of great right-handed hitters. So what do you think of Miguel Cabrera? How does he rank in that list?
I mean, I think, definitely, playing behind, hitting behind Bronny. I mean, I think he's one of the, best right-handed hitters in the game as well. But I think him and Miguel might be 1A and 1B, So, and I'm just excited to be here. I mean, to have a superstar like that who just won the batting title and moved positions to, allow me to play on his team, it means a lot. So, it's just pushing me to work hard so I can, help make it get to where we want to go.
So what do you think about protection? Do you think that's something that's real? Or, you've had situations where McGee and Milwaukee had good years, bad years. Does it change anything when you know somebody's behind you to do something?
I think it only changes when you let it change. I think, sometimes, obviously if you have power, the pitchers ain't going to try to throw it down the middle anyway. So, just because they're, walking you or, trying to be, perfect, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be ready to hit. So I think when you're ready to hit, it doesn't, you got to eliminate who's behind you, in front of you. It's just, you and the ball.
All right, Prince. Thanks a lot. Good luck to you. Have a good one.
Muy bueno there.
That was nice.
Very good. That's Doug Glanville helping us out here today, and of course part of our Baseball Tonight lineup this year. Jim Leland's team up 6-4 as we continue our spring training game here in Lakeland, Florida. 2 outs now for the New York Mets as they bat in the top of the 6th inning. Now Hoffman looking good so far on the mound. A very sweeping breaking ball.
Yeah, sometimes lefty on lefty, when you have that situation, there's certain lefties that have that breaking ball that just seems to keep on going and going away from left-hand hitters. And those are the ones that are very effective in these lefty on lefty situations.
All right, Doug, your ability to speak the language of Spanish, very, very impressive. We'll get the backstory on that when we come back. Now that, no, we will not be going anywhere. That ball got away from Patterson in center field. Boy, he was under it, and either it got caught in the wind late or he misjudged it, but he looked like that was an easy out. Instead, it's a 1-run game.
I think Dougie can attest to drifting after the ball.
You know, I'll tell you, look, this is a tough play. Any ball in this high sky with this sun factor is a tough play. And the difference between spring training and regular season, during the season you can kind of stay on the ball, take your eye off to orient yourself, and then regroup with the ball. But in spring training, you take your eye off that ball for a split second, and you may never see it again. So it's a much more difficult play as a center fielder. And with experience, you learn to really lock in and then see the ball through.
All right, Doug, I think I called him Patterson. That's still Quentin Berry who's out there in center field. Ouch. That's like the last thing that Terry Collins wants to see is Turner get hit in the leg with a pitch. All right, so Dougie, the Spanish speaking, where'd that?
You know, it's my secret weapon. You know, I wanted to break it out. I waited until year 3 at ESPN to say, you know, I got some other skills. But no, Miguel Cabrera was messing with me earlier and said, well, you know, Miguel Cabrera was messing with me a little bit earlier, saying, I'll do the interview with you if you speak in Spanish. Of course, he answered in English. It made me look crazy, but that's okay. I still broke it out. I think I held my own. So remember that. It's in my repertoire for some other day.
You more than held your own. Absolutely. And if Miguel Cabrera wants to speak English, you're probably good with that, right?
Yeah, I can work that.
All right, Doug, the Ivy League education paying off. So he said, if you do it in Spanish, I'll speak with you. And then Doug went out and learned Spanish. Minus Rosetta Stone or anything. It was just Doug Glanville sitting in his car learning it.
That's just someone who's just too smart for me.
Valentino Piscucci is now hitting for the New York Mets. I think Terry held his breath when Turner got hit. Unfortunately, those types of things have led to I'm coming out of the game. I can't make the trip.
Well, it's one of the few actual somewhat regulars that they have here.
Yeah,
that's just what they need, is not another nagging injury.
2 men down, 1 run in. Quintanilla is pinch running now, and we're going to talk with Terry Collins after this half inning. Go back and ask him about Dylan G and what he thought. How difficult it is to coach and manage in New York City now that we find that Mike D'Antoni, if you hadn't heard the breaking news, resigning as head coach of the New York Knicks. It's a little different to manage and coach in that city. Valdespin with speeds on second. That ball is bounced.
Hoffman doesn't exactly look very comfortable out there on the mound right now.
But he did. I mean,
no, he started off the inning great, but the minute things it's almost like when somebody got on base, he got out of whack, and sometimes that happens with guys.
Yeah, and veteran major leaguers, that happens
for
too.
Sure.
But 4 pitches and a walk, and that's going to get a quick meeting. Pitching coach has been busy for the Tigers. Probably more trips than he thought he'd be making. Usually, Leland will go out and make the pitching change, but nope. Jeff Jones has been out there a bunch with Scherzer, and now he's back out there. He had to come out right away when the first lefty came in.
The grass walking to and from the mound, from the coaches there in the chairs out to the mound is getting a little worn right now.
So, bases loaded with the New York Mets. And Vinny Rottino is going to be the pinch hitter. Hoffman is wearing out the inside part of the plate.
The catcher's kind of stabbing right now. He's setting up one place and the ball's going the other, so he's stabbing at a lot of balls right now.
Which you don't want to do.
No, not really. That's not the catcher's idea of a fun day either.
This one on the ground, charged, fielded well, high throw, held the bag, and they get out of that inning. bringing in a run, so it's 6-5 now in favor of the Tigers. Let's go over the Met headlines as Terry Collins is going to join us in just 1 second. And obviously the question marks that surround the Mets ownership still continue to linger, and the ownership group expected in court in a trial on the 19th. David Wright's future in New York, certainly his health is a big issue, and the plan for Johan Santana, who has really looked very good coming off of shoulder surgery. And down on the field now joining us live is Terry Collins, Terry, Carl Ravitch, and Mark Mulder. Let's start with, I assume, what you'd think was a positive, but you tell us, Dylan G today.
Well, I thought he threw the ball very well today. You know, we've been talking to him about using his curveball and his changeup to get a feel for it, and I thought he was very, very good today.
When you look at this team that you were forced, really because of injuries, to bring here, what do you want to accomplish in a game, given that your starters and your regulars aren't there? What's your goal?
Well, Carl, right now, we've got to pick our bench. One of the things that has hurt us right now in the spring is obviously our starting players are out, but it gives us an opportunity to look at our backup players. We've got to put our bench together, and we've got about 3 spots that are open, and it allows us to get some of these guys a lot of at-bats and make a good judgment on them.
And how up-to-date are you on the news and information about Wright, who I guess was back in camp today, and it was revealed he had a slight tear or has a slight tear?
Well, you know, Carl, one of the things that obviously when you use the word tear, it's a serious thing, but a strain is basically a small tear. And so David got the shot. He feels great. He's going to start some baseball activities tomorrow. And, this guy played 3.5 weeks with a broken back. He can certainly play in the condition he's in.
Right. You were telling me what influence Jim Leland had on your career. And when you look over in the other dugout and see him, what are your feelings?
Well, first of all, he's a great friend, but he's my mentor. And, I learned a lot about what it takes to manage in the major leagues from him. And, I owe him a lot. And that's why, actually, when I got the job here, I wanted to just say thanks by wearing his number.
That's right. I have number 10 on. I'm not sure if you know this, and I don't mean to throw a curveball at you, but it's being reported now that Mike D'Antoni, who was the coach of the New York Knicks, resigned today. And it really speaks less about D'Antoni and the Knicks as it relates to you, just the pressure of managing or coaching in that city and what you're under and how you deal with that stuff.
Well, certainly, it's the media capital of the world, and everything is scrutinized. Every little story is a major story. We have you have a little something happen in camp, and it becomes blown out of proportion due to the number of people that follow your club. But it's all part of the game here and part of the game in New York, and you got to learn how to deal with it.
All right, Terry, thanks. Let's get back to the action. Good luck this season.
Thanks, guys.
All right, ground ball there on a bunt to third. Good throw over there. So 1 man up and 1 man down. Again, I think you talked with both these guys. You heard Leland kind of put things in perspective when Scherzer came out, Mark, and certainly Terry Collins when you hear him talk about the comment that I think he's probably referring to his own comment, which was in frustration, just the amount of injuries and how if you need an aspirin, you're going to take a day off. That was.
I did like the one thing where he said it gives everybody else a chance, though, to make this, to make an impression. And stuff like that, because that goes a long ways, because most guys on the team are the veteran guys. They know they have a spot. They know what's going on. But for the other half, you hear a lot of interviews. You hear these guys say, well, I'm just preparing for the season. Well, for the other half of the guys, they're not just preparing for the season. They're fighting for their life, and they're fighting for a job. And that's tough when it's this one day. If you get a couple knocks, and that impression that leaves on the coaches and the manager, that goes a long way when it comes to the end of the spring training, when they're trying to decide the bench and decide their team.
Right, center field and dropping quickly, but caught out there. So 2 men down, and you almost get the impression that he's kind of sending a message like somebody do something. We have places for you to play.
Yeah, there's opportunity.
Yeah,
a lot of teams. A lot of teams, look at Detroit. There's really not many question marks, you might say, for their bench, for their starters, maybe their 5th starter. But, everywhere else, they're pretty much set.
Right.
And when you have a team that has question marks, there's a lot of possibilities. You have a few good days and make a good impression. It goes a long way.
Ramon Santiago, the leadoff hitter today, batting and still playing here in the 6th inning. Chris Schwinden, who has got a chance to make the team, is on the mound, and again they're working on relievers and whatnot. Cesar Puelo in left field, Vinny Bertino's at first base. Lucas May was the guy that made that play at third base on that bunt. Brandon Inge still in, he's on deck as well. Collins Collins also told me earlier he wears that number 10, but he also suggested that Leland, when he was on his staff in Pittsburgh, would tell him to come on in after the game and sit in these post-game press conferences. I want you to kind of hear how they go, what the questions are, not necessarily, you know, my answers because they're right, but just to get a feel for the way they interact. And then when he told Jim he's got an opportunity to go be a manager, Leland said, meet me at the stadium. And for 4 hours, he grilled him on every question that he might be asked and said that nobody has prepared him better for a life as a manager than that guy, Jim Leland. We'll continue. We're through 6, 7, 8, 9 still to come. Mets and Tigers. ESPN Spring Training is brought to you by MLB 12 The Show. So real it's unreal. And by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. Juan Lagares leading off for the New York Mets, the top of the 7th inning. Matt Hoffman is still on the mound. No other defensive changes for the Detroit Tigers. And a 6-5 ball game highlighted by Prince Fielder's home run. 2-run shot in the 4th inning. The second of the spring. Dylan G also very good as a starter for the Mets today. Max Scherzer started and was wild. No other way to put it for the Tigers. This ball is playable. Ainge going over. He's calling everybody off of it. And that's a good sign. Ainge playing second base. That's his ball, and he went to get it. We talked about Jim Leland's influence on Terry Collins, Mark. He's influencing a lot of people, isn't he?
Yeah, well, you can see him sitting here talking to Phil Nevin. Nevin, I was talking to him before the game. He's going to be the manager of their AAA team. And, you know, what they're talking about, I don't know. But, you know, you talk about those influences in baseball. And baseball's a game of teaching, you know. And there's a lot of guys who pass a lot of things along to younger players. And you always hear stories of younger players coming in and they kind of say, hey, be quiet and sit down, rookie, you know. But the theory is that you want that guy to sit there and pay attention,
right,
and watch the game. When I was in St. Louis, Bob Gibson would sit in the dugout for the games, and you know, I remember a couple times where me and Chris Carpenter were sitting on each side of him by the bat rack, and Gibson sitting there, and there'd be someone pitching, and you go, this kid's got no chance, you know, and he's just looking at the kid throw 2 pitches,
right,
you know, and it's like he could see it in his body language, he could see it in just things that Gibby would talk about. And the way he would speak about things, I just sat there and took it all in.
And how much did you know about him as a pitcher? Did you know a lot about him?
Well, I didn't know a lot about him, but I knew about, obviously, the things he had done in his career, the ERA, the World Series, how many innings he pitched, you know, things like that. But, you know, that was one thing that I thought was so cool about St. Louis was Lou Brock, all these guys who were around all the time, especially in spring training. To have that is a really neat thing, and you learn because they're there. They want to give you something. You know, they enjoy talking about baseball, and that's how you become better.
Doug, how about the biggest influence on yours, especially as a former player?
Well, I point to Sean Dunston. Sean Dunston was, I mean, this guy, you talk about game on. I mean, he played everything hard. He threw the ball 105 miles an hour to handcuff Mark Brace at first base every pitch, but he was after it. And one thing that impressed me is he had trouble with his back. He like popped up to short center field, and he was standing at second base. So I said, well, you know, if this guy, older player, can hustle like that, there's no excuse for me as a younger player. So he really set that tone, and it's so important that veteran players sit around, talk shop with these players, because they really can make a huge difference in their knowledge of the game and how they learn it and how they improve.
Yeah, that's in Philadelphia. You know, some organizations embrace the past. Certainly the Yankees come to mind with all the Hall of Famers that they have walking around, but not every organization did that. As a player, you would hope that they would do that. You enjoyed having those guys around.
No doubt about it. You know, Philadelphia, you know, Mike Schmidt walking around, Steve Carlton. There were so many players from yesteryear. Not only were you fans of these guys, but you knew they had tremendous knowledge, and they played in an era where a lot of things were more difficult. So they were just people that you needed to be a sponge with, and I guarantee you became a better ball player.
Cesar Puelo hits that ball into left field. He's aboard with a single.
It's funny that he mentioned Dunston. One of the years when I was in Oakland, we were playing in San Francisco, and I grew up in Chicago on the south side, and I grew up a White Sox fan, but I was always a Sean Dunston fan, and I asked him out on the field if I could get something autographed from him, and he said, yeah, sure, I'll send it over. Well, he hadn't said anything, and I had to pitch the next day, and there might have been some sort of a situation in the game, and I happened to drill him. I swear it was just an accident, but you know, there was a situation where it needed to be done, and he happened to be the guy up. So I'm kind of on the mound going, great, this is not what I want to do. But he sent me over a bat after the game, and it said, I'll play with you any day.
Really?
Because, as Doug said, he played the game hard, and you know, I think he expected it and knew it was coming, and I still have that bat hanging at my house.
And that's all he wrote on the bat.
He said, I'll play with you any day, and then he signed it.
That's great. Well, that's a lot of that unwritten rule stuff, and baseball announces that they're not going to have any expanded instant replay. So there's that fine line between the players kind of policing themselves and now umpires and what they're able to call and have the assistants to help them call. I know there are times we're sitting in the Baseball Tonight studios wondering, well, if you just had replay, you'd get it right, but it's not. No expansion of that instant replay this year. You good with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because there's always that line of how far do you take it? You know, how many rules do you have to come up with of what is replayable and what isn't? You know, where do you draw that line? You can't just make everything replayable, because you know, then you're asking for trouble when it comes. You know, this is a game of human error, of human mistakes or whatever, and that's part of the game. And I know people say when you have the technology, why not use it? But you know, like I said, you can't just review every play that's made.
How about you, Doug?
Well, I was thinking of actually George Will had a good quote. He said, when you try to make something perfect, it gets worse. And you know, it's a slippery slope, especially with base running. I mean, what are you going to do? The guy, did he catch it? Oh, you're supposed to tag up. You got to send the guy back. I mean, you know, there's a lot of guessing that's going to go in, and I think it's just more complicated. So they have to be very specific on when to use the instant replay. And in that case, it may work out.
Now that pitch worked out for Hoffman. Another one of those breaking balls. Strikeout victim. We're going bottom 7 here in Lakeland, Florida, with the hometown Tigers leading the Mets by a run. ESPN Spring Training presented by Gillette. Tigers hosting the New York Mets at Joker Marchant Stadium in Lakeland, Florida. I'm Carl Ravitch, Doug Glanville, Mark Mulder alongside, and the bottom of the 7th inning starts off with a one-pitch out. Brandon Inge flies out to right field. So Inge doesn't know he's starting until probably 25 minutes before the start of the game. I assume that's difficult, right? Or is it not?
It is spring training, so it's not that big of a thing. But it also depends. Maybe if he knew he wasn't playing, what did he do all morning? Did he do extra work this morning because he thought he wasn't playing? Did he work out maybe, and then all of a sudden find out, hey, you're in the lineup? Well, if you've just lifted for 45 minutes, that's not exactly the easiest thing to turn around and go swing a bat. So. It just depends what he did prior to this.
But he does. I mean, he did make a living kind of coming off the bench, right?
For sure. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. But since it is spring training, there are things that obviously you do before a game if you know you're not playing that you wouldn't do during the regular season.
Andy Siriaco is batting. Doug, what was a typical spring training day for you like, or even maybe for the viewer at home, what a typical spring training morning is like? A lot of people see the game come on at 1 and figure, wow, they got to the ballpark at 11 and they're playing at 1, but that's not how it works.
No, not at all. And the older you get, the earlier you get to the stadium. As those hamstrings start barking, one year I had a torn hamstring and I had to come back. So I was there very early, 7, 8 o'clock some days, doing rehab, ice, heat, stretching. And then you might have a full routine, whether it's defensive work or working on something you need offensively with your hitting. So it's a full on. So I think spring training days are really long and taxing because you're getting there early, even though you have this game and you're done at 4. You've been there since the crack of dawn. So it's a long day.
And of course, pitchers don't do anything in spring training.
I can't speak to the pitchers, but
It just depends. If you're a starting pitcher that day, then you're not doing anything. But bullpen guys, things like that. There's an hour maybe or so of PFP. You do maybe 4 different groups for 15 minutes. You have different conditioning drills, agility stuff that you do. I know they say pitchers aren't athletes, but we still had to do it. And then there's always.
Hated it. Didn't you ever feel like, my gosh, when you got in the car and you went to practice the short game and then the irons, and you said, really, I'm not getting paid a lot of money?
Well. Yeah, but you're not getting paid in spring training yet, right?
You're getting paid. It's your job. And you guys, Croc, monotonous. I hate that. I can't believe we're doing. Why do we do that?
It was all the shagging. Honestly, the shagging during BP. The shagging during BP, that was the longest part of the day. Everything else was, hey, we got to do it. You got to do the PFP. You got to do all that stuff. But
if you're not shagging, who is? Somebody's got to shag.
That's true, but hey, if they hit it, they can go pick them up, right? That was always our theory, I think. They hit it, let them pick it up.
Ball is dropped, and then the out is made on the strikeouts. They hit it, they got to go get it. That's the logic of the pitcher. ESPN Spring Training is being presented by Gillette. Great things start with Gillette, and in part by your neighborhood Ace Hardware. Ace is the helpful place. So we are heading to the 8th inning of a spring training baseball game here on ESPN, with the Tigers leading the Mets by a score of 6-5. 6 runs on 5 hits. Chris Swindon's been very good for the New York Mets, and now Bruce Rondon is pitching for the Detroit Tigers.
Center fielder, number 68, Matt Decker.
So if the Tigers are able to hang on and win, they'll move to 8-1-3. Here we go. Look at that little strawberry shortcake going here.
I don't know, but it does look good.
That's a lot for one person. Or are we just, we're delivering it. All right. We got the whole booth up here. Drew Pavlov's dog stuff going on. You know, the same way that Austin Jackson looks like he's really fast, Rondon looks like he's just going to throw it really hard.
Yeah, you heard, that was the first time I actually heard the pop of the glove up. I mean, Scherzer's was popping, but not like this.
That was the first one was 98. Now we're at 97. And the Tigers, you know, historically are known for these power arms out of the bullpen. They love that.
Wow.
They'll like it a lot more if it's a strike.
Yes. It's one thing to throw that hard. It's another to command it.
Well, he's one of the 2 minor leaguers that came up and joined the team today. There's, you know, you take a half a mile off of it and you get a strike.
Well, we talk about numbers. He does have number 22.
That's his, but that is probably the minor league 22.
Could be.
That's fun, though. Who's the hardest guy you ever played with throwing? Anybody hump it up there?
Well, I mean, you know, when we had Isringhausen in Oakland, he was 97, 98 at that time. And, you know, Jason Mott in St. Louis was high 90s.
That's what it sounds like. And if you're trying to hit it,
that's not fun to try to hit. I'm not a hitter, but I've been in the box to see 97, 98. You don't see it very well.
But that seed that just got planted is even worse. Because when you don't know where it exactly is going. And
well, I think Dougie can say it. Dougie, you can probably speak to it better. I mean, when you have someone who's throwing this hard, when there's that uncertainty in your mind that he doesn't really know maybe where, like this guy, I'm not saying he doesn't know where it's going, but sometimes there's those guys who don't know where the ball's going. That cannot be a good feeling in the box.
Oh, not at all. And this is exactly why all these veteran guys are in the locker room right now, because I'm telling you, these young guys come up and throwing 110, and they don't know where it's going, and I'll tell you, you're not digging in, so go get them.
You saw his strikeout to walk right there. 61 strikeouts, 34 walks last year. Single A ball.
But when you come over to a game like this, you have so much adrenaline. That's why you're seeing him up with a lot of these pitches. He's got so much adrenaline. He's overthrowing, and that's what I mean. He's still going to throw 98 if he slows himself down. But sometimes guys, they get a little amped up and a little too much effort.
Jeff Jones is taking another trip out there. He almost should have a conveyor belt the way today's gone for him. Just hop on. So we'll have a little discussion. All right, Major League Baseball is proud to support the fight against cancer. Honor someone you know who is going to bat against breast cancer. Visit honorarybatgirl.com. Major League Baseball, of course, gets involved with so many initiatives. Prostate cancer, breast cancer, heart disease, a lot of very positive things that are done on the Major League Baseball charitable sides. Where do you, this got to be lower, right? There you go. It worked. I mean, the conversation works.
So sometimes it just takes that little bit of time for that coach to come out there. You settle down. You finally get to take a couple deep breaths. And you'd be amazed how much it helps.
2-1, Jordani Valdespin. We're back to the height again. You know, we were a little concerned you weren't going to make the trip. You had another baby. There's a third Mulder child that is entered. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We got a 3-week-old. Things are good. My wife might be might be pulling her hair out right now with the other two running around, and she's a little busy with the baby, so.
That's great for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's fun.
There's another walk. So 2 men on, and the Mets are threatening. Give the crowd in Lakeland some props. They're not leaving.
Yeah, there's not too many empty seats.
Nope. Met pride. A little dirt. I think we had a little dirt on the finger. She just kind of cleaned her hand off. That's, you can look forward to all that stuff as the 3 little Mulders get older. Oof, that's a tough, huh? That's a tough proposition, Doug. Get up there and bunt at 94.
Nothing nice at all. Guy throwing a million and not quite sure where it's going, and you have to square. You're just thinking bail out, package, anytime.
Omar Quintanilla trying it again. That didn't miss by much. Count goes to 1-1. Do you pride yourself on your fielding as a pitcher, or?
Yeah.
You're an athletic guy.
I did. I probably. I mean, you make errors. Things happen, but you know, like I said, if you take your time and you work on it, obviously you work on it a ton during spring training, and if you focus on it and don't be lackadaisical with it, you know, it can really help when you're out there during the regular season.
What is the buzz around Arizona with the teams out there? What are the papers saying about the teams? Are they all over the Diamondbacks, obviously, because that's their home as well? Or are they excited about Pujols in Arizona?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. You know, I mean, Arizona is it's an amazing place during spring training. I mean, the restaurants, the city, everything like that is so packed because it is all so close. You know, Old Town Scottsdale, where a lot of restaurants and bars are. I mean, right near 2 blocks from where the Giants play is just a crazy place when those Giants games get out. But yeah, I mean, the city's definitely excited about the Diamondbacks after last season, and looking forward to big things this year.
Valentino Pascucci with men on the corners. And Rondon continues to struggle finding that strike zone. Has he thrown anything but a fastball?
Not that I've seen. Might want to try something different, but I think the couple breaking balls he's tried to throw, he's bounced those. So fastballs are up and breaking balls are down.
Past the catcher, Rondon there to block, but he doesn't get there in time, and it is a 6-6 ball game now. This is really what spring training baseball becomes about. This is what it's about. And you never had to see this.
No, I really didn't. I was gone by now. But here it looked like a split finger. Catcher just kind of quit on it. It might have even been a strike if he would have caught the ball. But
that did appear.
This is what happens.
It did appear to be catchable.
Yeah.
2-0 to Pascucci. That one's down and scooped.
But there again, that's what we talk about when the catcher isn't exactly even sure where the guy's going to be throwing the ball. Sometimes you stab at it, and then all of a sudden you expect that one. It looks like it's coming down the middle, and the splitter dropped out underneath the glove.
All right, so let's take a look at the NL East, which, of course, the New York Mets call home, but there are a handful of other teams that are excellent, like the Philadelphia Phillies, favorites again. They just win the NL East every year, although last year the Braves had a chance and collapsed. People love what the Washington Nationals are bringing to the table. The Miami Marlins we saw on ESPN a couple of days ago. And beyond Johan Santana, this Met crew, if they can get healthy, can be interesting. So when you think about the NL East now, I don't know that it's the most difficult division top to bottom. I think the AL East is probably better. But obviously this, because the Phillies and the Braves and the Marlins seem to be at a different level that the Nationals coming, do you still put the Phillies on top?
I think maybe right now you might be just because of their pitching.
But there sounds like there's a little reluctance to kind of declare that. Where in years past, I think we'd all be more willing to do it.
Well, because you have the Howard injury.
Yep.
Utley's been on and off injured. Rollins and Polanco are getting older on the left side of the infield.
So there's a chance they come back a little bit. I agree with you. I think there's a chance that they could come back a little bit. Doug, what are your thoughts on that NL East race?
Well, look, the Phillies are a lot closer to the pack now. There's no doubt about that. They certainly have showed some age, and they're also, have some question marks about just, how their offense is going to gel. Like you mentioned, Ryan Howard is, looks like he's a little ways away. And certainly they have the pitching, and being that they've won, you have to say, well, you have to knock them out of the box. So I still give them the nod. But all these other teams are much, much closer. I mean, the Braves get some young pitching that comes together in the rotation, guys like Minor. They could be right there. And you look at Washington, obviously, reloading. And now, Miami just made some big moves, so it's going to be tight.
Hansen and Hudson have to get healthy for that team. Hayward's, got a hit. And they can't afford to have injuries. But I just sense that the Phillies, like Doug said, have at least the potential to move back to the pack. Look, they could win by 15 games, too, but it feels like they have the potential to.
I think there's just so many question marks in that division with... For me, with Atlanta, is what toll did last season take on Venters and Kimbrel and that bullpen, and then obviously with Hudson and Hansen injured, and there's question marks there. You look at Miami. Is it gonna become a show? Is it gonna, what's really gonna happen there? Are these guys gonna really come? Are there gonna be blow-ups? Are there gonna be blow-ups with that team? What's?
I agree with you.
And then you got
a legitimate question.
Washington, who's a real young team. And
both the Braves and Red Sox obviously had terrible Septembers last year, and one had a complete overhaul of their front office where the Braves really stood kind of pat. I think the authenticity of the Miami Marlins, how real it is. So much of it feels almost mirage-like with the commitment of dollars they made during the winter and the new ballpark and Ozzie there. But I tell you, seeing them a couple of days ago, at least part of them, Jose Reyes looks healthy, and he is so unique as a ball player, and when he's healthy, there's a reality there.
The things that he can do on a field, there are not many guys in baseball that can do that.
No.
The things that he brings to a team with his speed and the way he can play the game.
This is Brian Villarreal, who's on the mound right now for the Tigers. You agree with that, Doug? How would you even compare the AL East and NL East, knowing they're both excellent divisions? Is the AL East still a little bit better than the NL East? Because so many people are hopping on the bandwagon of the NL East because of the Miami Marlins and the Nationals. But to me, there's still question marks and youth there.
Well, I think the AL East has less question marks in terms of teams that have been there. They've made smaller moves or tighter ships. Miami's, it's just all at once. They came in, boom, boom, major change. You have no idea how that's going to gel. And then Washington is still young. They're going to put it together, but anything can go down. And you look at Atlanta recovery and just the fact that they have some injury questions. You don't have quite that level of question in the American League East. I mean, the Yankees, the Rays, the Red Sox look positioned to be really dominant teams, and they're all going to fight for the wild card. And Toronto is considerably better, so it's going to be a huge race in the AL.
There's some people who think the Blue Jays could finish second or third in that division. A lot of people still, because of the Pineda-Kuroda thing, feel the Yankees have again separated themselves. And that's not taking anything away. And I'm not saying I feel this way from the Rays, great pitching, which may be the best, in baseball. Yeah. Or the Red Sox, who have MVPs all over the place with Gonzalez and Pedroia and Ellsbury. But they just believe that the Yankees, because of the two pitchers, the one thing that was lacking last year, and they still won the division, solidified that. I would probably agree with the idea that the Yankees are the favorite in that division. But I think 2, 3, and 4 are up for grabs.
I mean, that's a good group of pitchers. When you're running one of those 5 guys out every 5 days, it's...
And that 9 and 10, you just get the sense, given some run support, that changes, quickly to, 12 and 6, 13 and 7.
And having his full season under his belt also. Last year he didn't do quite as well in the second half, but you learn from that. And Pineda can really make a big difference. If he struggled a little bit in the second half with the Mariners. And
do you like him? I mean, he's kind of your height. Do you like what you see? And do you see the development that can take place there?
Well, there's such an upside, and that's obviously why the Yankees made that move. His fastball, which supposedly they say is down a little bit so far this spring, but when he starts to command those secondary pitches, and if he throws that hard and locates the fastball, it's the things he can do, not a lot of guys can.
Right. We'll talk more about the rest of the major leagues. Brian Villarreal comes on and gets the job done as we go to the bottom of the 8th.
Fans, bring your...
MLB.TV is baseball everywhere. Watch over 100 live out of market games per week online and on your favorite devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. Play begins here in the bottom of the 8th inning. The defending American League Central champion Detroit Tigers, who won 95 games last year. They were 15 games ahead of the Cleveland Indians. Were a great road team. Only Philadelphia had more road wins than the Tigers, and several other teams had 45 victories. They were 45 and 36 away from home. The real question marks that are still existing for the Tigers, I think one of them remains a bit of a question mark, which was the effectiveness of the starting pitching behind Verlander. Scherzer was wild today, but they're looking for a 5th starter and one more reliever. You hear Jacob Turner, Andy Oliver, and Drew Smiley as the options. But so far through 11 games down here, Detroit's got 19 now in this 12th game, 20 home runs. And the staff ERA had been the best amongst American Leaguers as well at 2.65. Eric Patterson fouls that one back. Oh, see, they weren't ready. They weren't ready to move back to 5 feet.
You're trying to be tricky there. Just field it right.
Yep. What a great dad you're going to be. No, not between the legs. Just fundamentals.
My son wants no part of playing catch right now. He's 4.5, and I throw it at him, and he ducks.
No.
And I only have gloves that go in his left hand, by the way.
I figured that.
He's still, I think he's so far right-handed, but I'm still forcing.
I would too.
I'm trying to force him to be lefty.
Are you throwing fastballs? What are you?
Well, he's big on the tennis racket, small racket that he has in front of our TV in the living room, hitting these softballs all around the house and thinks it's hilarious until Mom comes around the corner. But I'm also the one throwing them until Mom comes around the corner.
You're egging that behavior.
Yeah.
Sure you are. Number 76. All right, so the storylines for the American League Central, of course, began with the addition of Prince Fielder in Detroit, changed everything. White Sox bring in Robin Ventura as their new skipper. The Indians are looking for their first title since 1948. Things continue to be on the upswing for the Kansas City Royals, and the health of both Justin Morneau and Joe Mauer maintain front and center status in Minnesota. 15 games the Tigers won this division by, and all these conversations, Doug Lanville and Mark, that we have really are based on no injuries and without any knowledge of any future player acquisitions. Do they win by 15 games again, Doug?
I think they do, and part of it is they have a chance if they get out of the gate very quickly and healthy. They have the makeup to just literally just steamroll the rest of the season. That's the difference between this year and last year. They didn't quite get their stride. It was late. Teams hung around. They kept people around. But they have much more of that killer instinct this year. So they're not going to wait around and keep the White Sox close. If they see that window, this team knows how to close it.
See Dave Dombrowski there with the striped golf shirt on. He is the architect, or at least the chief architect, of putting this team together as the general manager. Is there a sleeper in the division, or is it the same Twins if they're healthy, Indians, or are the Royals sort of that soup du jour ready to make that move?
I still like the White Sox from last year. I know it was a disaster, Adam Dunn, but guys, most likely not going to have that kind of year again. So they can get a lot closer. They still have a lot of talent. Beckham's played some good defense. There's a lot of different weapons, and their pitching is still very strong. So they're going to be around, and that's why this year the Tigers have to have much more of that put away instinct, because if they keep teams close, a lot of these teams are improved, like Kansas City, Cleveland. They keep them too close, they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
What do you think?
Well, I kind of agree with him a little bit. I don't really think the White Sox are that bad. I like what they have, but I think you take those other teams in the division. Obviously, the Tigers are the clear favorite, but it wouldn't surprise me if you saw any of those teams fighting for second place or pushing the Tigers as the season goes along. It's not. There's so many question marks, I think, for all of those teams, but I don't know if I necessarily see Minnesota in that mix. I don't know if they any longer have that mix of guys to do what they need to do to contend.
I'd be honest, between both of you, I haven't heard a lot of Chicago White Sox talk. I've heard more about the great young players with Hosmer and Moustakas and the pitching at Kansas City, and even more about the Twins now that Morneau and Mauer at least appear healthy. Before, people have talked about the White Sox, so that's good news.
Well, the pressure's off. The pressure's off them, and that's a big difference. They had all the Guillen factor. Everybody's out of their minds. They're trying to figure this out. Stress. But, now, hey, rookie manager, let's figure it out. And maybe some guys, really get into their own, because a lot of guys just underperform career-wise. If they just get back to level, they're going to be a much better team.
Well, it's an interesting watch to see how things go in Miami with Ozzie there, and to see how things go in Chicago with him not there. If the positive Ozzie can influence the Marlins and sort of the other stuff that Ozzie brought that somehow may have adversely affected the White Sox, I'm not saying it did, but if that's gone and they play better, there's nothing else that really changed there.
Well, and that's the thing. Since the team didn't really change a whole lot, you change, Ozzie's. The way Ozzie did things, the culture of that clubhouse will now change. The manager, every manager's different.
180 degrees.
Yes, it's going to be completely different. So not to say one is right and one is wrong, but when a clubhouse changes like that, the attitude changes. And sometimes that's all it really takes, is for some small change to happen where guys just start to feel better about themselves and feel better about their teammates, and they play better.
Yeah, I could be very wrong. It just seems to me that the White Sox become a team where other people call and say, we'd like to get this player or that player.
No, it might happen. They may end up trading for the future, but you cannot count these guys out. And the Tigers certainly look like they're going to be world beaters, but you have to execute on the field. And injuries can change the complexion of anything. And the White Sox certainly just need guys to improve off of last year, which is really the only way some of these guys can go.
Chris Sale has the ability to develop. Gordon Beckham, I think in a lot of people's minds, didn't do what they thought he would do last year.
I mean, Viciedo. I mean, they got some guys that you're like, they're going to be some of these guys you need to watch close, because these guys could really have explosive years.
Right. Second baseman did a great job to get out there and call everyone off it, and then the right fielder said, I got it. Get out of the way. Good with it.
Good outfield play right there. That's how you do it.
I don't care what you're doing in there, Jordani. I got it.
Get out of the way.
That's a scary proposition, too, when you're the second baseman. You kind of hear those footsteps. Other scary moments in spring training, getting on an elevator that goes up to the second floor. Mark and I, and unfortunately,
30 other people on an elevator that holds 8.
We went from first floor to second floor. The door never opened on the second floor, and the elevator then dropped back down to the first floor.
And it wasn't a little drop.
I didn't think we were getting off the elevator. I mean, that was panicky. Right?
I got a little hot. I went into a little bit of a sweat awfully quick.
That was scary. That was earlier today, Doug, when you were electing to walk.
Yeah, he ditched us right before we got on that elevator.
Absolutely. And, look, I was at the media spread chowing down on some chicken marsala. So you guys chose the death box.
We got on the elevator. It was like one of those circus, cars where 50 people come out. There's just no more room on this elevator. And no matter the protest from the back row, which were me saying, we got enough. I think we're good. Nobody would listen.
The elevator guy just kept loading them on. Hey, we can fit some more. And what'd you say? It felt like the Tower of Terror?
Yes.
At Disney?
It really did, because the door never opened and we just dropped. And then you really wondered, is this door ever going to open again? Oh,
I would have called for help. I would have got you guys.
You couldn't even find a phone. We were squeezed in there like sardines. There was just no room. But we're here. A lot of people would trade places. We're in Florida watching a baseball game. Do the Mets have enough players to go extra innings? Do we? Because our other game went 10.
That's not a good track record, then.
Well, batting 1,000. Nope. Matt Young with 2 outs and the man on second. The go-ahead run. Another foul ball. If you could change anything about spring training, what would you change?
Wow.
7-inning games?
No, because there's too many. Maybe later in spring.
See, I would think earlier in the spring, 7 innings, and then work up to 9, because the players aren't ready to.
Yeah, that's true. It depends how many bullpen guys need work when you get later. Once the starters start going 6, 7, things like that, then there's obviously some bullpen guys who need some work and you need more innings. But early in spring, you need to see too many people early in spring. You need to see a lot of guys out there and see how.
Yeah, you have the B games. I know you weren't in them, but you do have the B games.
I pitched in a few B games. I had my fair share of those.
Straightaway center field, 3rd out of the 8th inning. We are rolling along. Come on. Welcome back, everyone. The sun continues to shine here in Lakeland, Florida. The 6-6 ball game, the Mets and the Tigers. I'm Carl Ravitch. Game 2 of our 10 spring training games. And then we will be in Miami for the opening of the new ballpark, Marlins Ballpark. Then we head out to Anaheim for the Albert Pujols. That's a Wednesday and a Friday. As the fans continue their keen interest in things other than what's going on the field, at least the young ones, but they may change their mind when they find out that Daniel Schlereth is now on the mound for the Tigers. And we have one of those interesting situations where Daniel is on the mound and NFL Live is standing by, set to come on at ESPN. I'm not sure if Mark Schlereth, Daniel's father, is on the program today, but every minute that Daniel and this game continue to play is another minute that the guys at NFL Live can't start. So they're looking at the 6-6 game. Daniel's on. They want him to throw strikes. Josh Satin is the hitter. And right away, the first pitch is a ball.
It's been a little bit of a theme of the day.
First pitch balls.
Yeah, we've had. But that's what they always say. That's what spring training's for.
I like spring training being for strikes. I'm into that. Close games. I'm good for that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not working on throwing balls. We're working on throwing strikes.
No. But when you're missing, you need that work.
It almost felt like a Valentineism. Like, well, we're working on trying to throw strikes, though. We're not working on throwing balls. Call for a strike. A lot of movement on that pitch from Daniel. Is the Tiger bullpen a question, or maybe a vulnerability on this team, or something that they feel less good about compared to the offense and the starting pitching?
Well, I think when you compare it, I mean, it's tough to compare it to
That's
those
true.
two. You know, I mean, no, obviously it would be the quote-unquote, I guess, weaker of the three, I get, if you want to compare that. But the season that Valverde had last year, and Benoit, and now having Dotel here, I mean, it's still a very good bullpen. But to try to compare it to their offense or their starting pitching, it's obviously not up to that.
Papa Grande was really good last year for them, closing games. Cesar Puello, a line shot his last time up. And another first pitch ball.
First pitch balls lead to swings like that. You know, guys really trying to take advantage of the fact that they know a fastball is most likely coming, and it's most likely going to be for a strike because you don't want to fall behind 2-0. Getting that first pitch strike, very important.
Squaring a bunt on a high breaking ball. So pulled back on that. Tigers open up their season on ESPN against the Red Sox, which is probably going to be a Verlander and Lester game. And a good challenge for both of those organizations to start to face each other. Last night was the first of a million Red Sox-Yankee games.
It does seem like they tend to play more than everybody else, but they don't.
Nope. 3-1 in for a call. Strike 3-2. The Red Sox won that game, beating the Yankees 1-0. I want to remind everybody, I've talked about some of the games are going to be played when the season begins and where the Baseball Tonight crew is going to be. April 4th will be at Miami for the Cardinals and the Marlins. Red Sox and Tigers, ESPN 2 on the 5th at 1 Eastern. 3 hours later, the Miami Marlins debut against the Cincinnati Reds, and then Lincecum will take on the Diamondbacks. 7 Eastern, April 6th. 10 Eastern will be there as well for Albert Pujols and the Kansas City Royals. The Angels open up their home set on a weekend, a Friday night. And then it becomes a lot more exciting and palpable. Ground ball, snared, foul.
The colors didn't change much, but it is still weird for me when you see that graphic there of Albert in the Angels uniform. Good call. Ball was foul.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't have that feeling about Albert or Prince in a different uniform.
Well, I think it's just so many times I sat in that dugout watching.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You have a different perspective.
It's just, seeing the Angels across the front. Colors are technically the same, but seeing the Angels is just funny to me.
How about you, Doug? That idea that these guys, move and change places, is it odd for you to see them in a new uniform?
Well, Pujols is a guy, you just think of St. Louis, first blush, but I don't think it's going to take long for us to see him as an Angel. I mean, he's going to come with serious barnstorming ability and make it happen.
I think it's just so, player movement is so prevalent and it's so difficult. But I guess you're right. I assume if Jeter were in a different uniform, that would be like weird.
Yeah, exactly. That wasn't a good catch by that fan, by the way.
And he's the only one up in that area.
Yeah, he kind of took it right off the chest.
Go-ahead run is on second. One man down, 1-2 pitch coming. Schlereth steps off. Swing and a miss, strike three.
Center fielder, number 68, Matt Dendecker.
Daniel trying to get out of this. Matt Dendecker is coming to the plate. How would you describe Schlereth's season last year?
Well, looking at his numbers, I mean, he had 30-some walks with 40-some strikeouts, which is a little high. But, the lefty on lefty, it's really comes down to his control. There's too many walks, and when you're a lefty specialist like he is, you need to be able to come in and throw strikes. And, you're not going to come in and get every lefty out. That's not the way this game works. But you really want to avoid those walks, because if you come in to face that one left-handed hitter and you walk them, there you are now. There's going to be another pitching change and it's on somebody else. So, it's a catch-22. You're not trying to give up a hit, but you're not trying to walk the guy either.
There's a good fastball, downward movement. I would think that would be such a tough job, a specialist, when here's your job. You either get the guy out or you don't. So it's pass-fail.
Yes, and when you come in, there's generally very small room for error. There's generally guys on base. It's a big situation, 7th, 8th inning.
Even if there's no one on, you have to get him out. That's what you're there for. There's no option, right?
No, there really isn't, and that's what makes it tough on some relievers. Some relievers don't handle that well.
He gets through that inning, and we'll go to the bottom of the 9th for Jim Leyland and the Tigers. Tied 6-6.
entire life, and you miss it.
The smell of spring training is amazing.
Wow, popcorn smell.
You know, it's back to baseball.
Definitely stinky shoes and socks.
Really cheap soap. They always give us really cheap soap in the showers.
A lot of profanity with having an Aussie guy in the stands yelling, beer, water.
That's the sounds of spring training in a nutshell.
Perspective of the players on what spring training means to them. I thought Ryan Dempster's observations were interesting. Really stinky socks and shoes.
Yeah, you always feel bad for the clubhouse guys when they're going around collecting the bins that are just sitting in the middle of the clubhouse.
Just a big clothes dump.
Yeah,
you throw it in there.
You go through a ton of shirts, you're changing all the time, and they're not dry. Let's put it that. Nothing you take off is generally dry in spring training.
All right, Darren Gorski is now on here for the New York Mets. This is the bottom of the 9th inning. Quentin Berry, who's played the whole time, leads off a bunt to third. Berry running down to first, safe. He beats it out. Tigers get the leadoff man on, and that sends us to the top of the order. And there are some familiar names still in the game, in Ramon Santiago and Brandon Inge.
It's just an excellent bunt right down the line, and even though the third baseman's playing in, just that little stutter step right there might have just cost him. He came up with it, kind of didn't get it out of his glove real clean, but close play.
I want to remind everybody that as soon as our game is over, NFL Live is standing by. Let us know what's going on with the free agents, the signing period. Certainly down here in Florida, the big story was Vincent Jackson agreeing to the deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Glazer family told everybody they were going to spend money, and now they've at least shown that they're willing to do so. And, of course, SportsCenter at 6 Eastern with the latest on the Mike D'Antoni resignation as head coach of the New York Knicks. Kind of see that coming given some of the comments by Carmelo Anthony and such. Another bunt by Santiago, advancing the winning run to second base for Brandon Inge.
It's good to see that the things you work on in spring training, they come out and guys are able to execute, because you work on these things for a reason, and you get in these situations late in the game, and even though it's spring training, guys are getting the job done.
Inge up now, and on deck is Audi Siriaco. Remember, our Red Sox game was won by Siriaco. He had a home run to walk off to win it. Maybe that happens again. The outfield is so shallow. Inge hits pop-ups further than where they are. He misses balls that go further than they are. Foul. The energy has returned to Joker Marchand Stadium.
It's getting loud in here all of a sudden.
They came to see a Tiger win, and they've
all been in the sun too long.
They are close. 180 feet away. But 0-2 to Inge. Missing away, 1-2.
It's a big hole in between first and second. See if Inge can take something and shoot it right through there.
Two and two. You said you played Cape Cod League with Brandon. Did you anticipate a long career for him? You knew then that he had the ability to hang around and play?
Well, you know, at that time, he was our shortstop, and he threw 97 off the mound and would close for us every now and then. So you and had tons of pop. So, and not a real big guy. I mean, strong guy, but not a real big guy. But just such an unbelievable athlete. You knew he was going to end up playing somewhere and doing a really good job of being a good player.
A 3-2 pitch coming to Brandon Inge. This one is not deep enough. And it's caught, 2 men down.
Yeah, the stadium that we played at in the Cape Cod League, we had sun delays. The sun would actually set in center field. They built the stadium, they built the field wrong in Bourne, and the sun would set in center field, and we would have about 40-minute delay every single game we had.
Right.
Wasn't exactly what you were looking for.
I've never heard of a sun delay.
Neither had we. They sold buttons, they sold T-shirts, they sold everything that said sun delays on it.
All right, so a couple of days ago for the Red Sox, Pedro Siriaco hit a walk-off home run. This is Audi Siriaco. He swings at that and fouls it. I mean, what are the chances that the two Siriacos, not related, but two Siriacos on our start to the baseball season win games?
Well, right now they seem pretty good.
To third off the arm of the third baseman. Not a game winner, but it extends the game.
That was a small hop away from being that game winner.
Yep.
First baseman, number 72, Jared Head.
It's actually a pretty good job of knocking that ball down and keeping it in the infield. It's a hard hit ball, took a good hop and got a glove on it. And in that situation, all you're really trying to do is knock that down. You're probably not going to throw him out at first base, but you need to stop that runner from scoring.
But given the injuries, Lucas May, who's at third base, is a regular catcher. I mean, that's, he's a catcher who's playing third base.
Which makes it all that much better.
Yeah.
He knows how to knock things down.
Winning run at third, Jared Head. Runner advances to second and ultimately takes off any force play that shortstop or middle infielder, second baseman can flip to the guy covering, so the out has to be made at first. Fastball, 2-0.
He's not looking for, that's a nasty 2-0 slider down and in right there. You're not looking for that pitch. You're looking dead red fastball 2-0, and he got something a little bit different.
The 2-1 coming to Jared Head. 3-1. Eric Patterson is on deck. NFL Live is on deck. Here's your 3-1. Well, a lot of options. Eric Patterson's either going to win the game or extend it to the 10th inning. But before that, quick meeting on the mound. Just to remind him that we're out of options. The entire infield is discussing what NFL Live is going to show. What the Jets are doing, the Giants are doing, the Mets 1-0. They're standing by, and they're also wondering what Eric Patterson is going to do and what the decision is going to be here. Given all the injuries to the Mets and the lack of real depth, are they going to play a 10th inning, or are we just going to call it 6-6?
Well, there is somebody warming up in the Tiger bullpen.
Well, he might just be getting the work he needs in, or he's preparing to pitch. The 0-1, a swing and a miss by a lot on the breaking ball. The 0-2, it looks gloomy. It just looks dark. It doesn't look like it's gonna wrap up here.
No, it doesn't.
It just didn't. The 0-2, that swing just kind of felt that way. But how many times have we seen that kind of swing and then boom, the next one is connected?
1-2, pitcher needs to make a good pitch. You don't want to make a mistake over the middle of the plate.
High 2-2. Things don't look as bad as they did at 0-2 for the Tigers.
And the guys who are in the game right now, you know, these guys they're not. This isn't just the 9th inning of just any spring training game. These guys are out there fighting. They're out there battling because, like we said earlier, they're trying to make an impression.
Both the pitcher and the hitter. 2-2 to Eric Patterson. Here's the pitch that he swung at wildly earlier. Crowd on his feet.
Yeah. Here come all the fans. Everybody on their feet.
The NFL Live crew is on its feet, I've been told. 3-2, 2-out tie game. Strike 3. Patterson is out. Crowd sits down. NFL Live sits down. So Jim Leland and the home plate umps say, yep. What do we got? We got one more inning. We are going to play a 10th. Welcome back, everyone. The excitement here at Lakeland, Florida takes us to the 10th inning of a 6-6 ball game. Game highlighted earlier by a Prince Fielder home run. Dylan G was very good. And you see our booth here. Doug Glanville has now taken the place of Mark Mulder.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
typical pitcher to leave early before a game ends, or at least a spring training game. And we went to the righty.
Yes. What was I, 47 for 47 last year? So I'm going to close it out for Mr. Mulder.
So you are the Papa Verde of this telecast, Papa Grande.
Papa Glanny. Papa Glanny.
Papa Glanny.
Yeah.
Well, we are enjoying. It's not Margaritaville. It is Doug Glanville, and he's here with us as we begin playing the 10th inning. You were down in the dugouts. You part of that crowd rising to its feet, or were you up here waiting to fill in?
Well, I'm actually trying to show off all the skills today. I was down the line, interviewed. I broke out the bilingual stick.
You did.
And now I'm up in the booth. So whatever you need, I'm ready.
What we need is a run.
We do. We do.
Can you help us with that?
Well, I can guarantee you after the 10th, it's going to be over. But if baseball wants to get a little bit more exciting, they could have like a sudden death tiebreaker in spring training. They could just try it out, and maybe it's like a home run derby, and then walk off, game over.
Now, can you bring a player back like a Cabrera or Fielder in this home run derby? Do you have to use somebody who's on the bench or playing?
Well, you can call him from his house. He's probably in street clothes, but that's fine.
Valdespin, who's got speed, grounds one to second. And the out is made.
Well, Valdespin had a lot of stolen bases. He had, I think, 37 bags. He can run a little bit. You know, they definitely think he's a prospect that can make an impact.
Argenis Diaz makes that play at second base. Daniel Schlereth pitching his second inning for the Tigers. Our second spring training game has given us our second extra inning spring training. Schlereth throws that one high and tight.
Well, I got the feeling Crucky is laughing at you right now, saying more work, more action.
Me or us collectively?
Well, maybe collectively.
I don't think he would single me out.
He might.
Probably right. Left field almost sounded like a broken bat. That one's caught. And now Valentino Pescucci.
Designated hitter, number 15, Valentino.
Well, now I have a category of players who I call the human T-Rex.
This is one of them.
Yeah, they're guys that are 6 foot 15 inches tall. He is going to be in that category. So if he makes the big club, he's going to go into the human T-Rex category.
Who else has been in that?
Willie Mo Pena.
Willie Mo?
Yep. And the Cespedes is probably going to get in there.
Cespedes isn't as tall. Like Cabrera's got to be in your T-Rex, right?
Yeah. Well, the new look Cabrera, he's a little bit slimmed down.
So he's not the ferocious T-Rex. He's a Triceratops.
Yeah, like a Velociraptor or something smaller. But as Mark mentioned, I mean, even though this is late in the game, it seems like it's slowed down, and you're wondering some of the guys who are playing, but this is game on for these guys. I mean, I've definitely been in the situation. You're playing 10th inning, and you have to battle. Every at-bat counts. You're still trying to make an impression, and, you know, all the coaches are still here watching you.
And I would imagine that the challenge is to keep that mindset, or at least it would feel that way. But you're right. This is now livelihoods we're talking about, and the ability to extend them. Impress that manager, and the manager certainly understands what the situation is. He gets that it's the 10th inning, that this is a long day and it's a long spring.
Right, we saw that in the Miami-Boston game. A guy lays down a bunt, and all of a sudden, you know, an opportunity, and Bobby Valentine's paying attention.
Yep. Pascucci is out. Schlereth had a very effective top of the 10th inning. Last chance for the Detroit Tigers. Bottom 10 coming up from Lakeland, Florida.
Hello, it is I, your boss. Great news. The video call went very, very well.
Well, sparing no expense in order to facilitate Mark Mulder's quick exit, we have a police escort set up. Assuming he got the memo that was there for him, which we doubt. He could enter the bus and be wherever he needs to be really quickly. If not, I sense that the police escort will probably serve to help the Mets get out of here.
I see pitchers. They get the luxuries of them, starting pitchers. What do I get? I got a golf cart out there.
Yeah.
Someone on a tricycle going to escort me.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you can hop on that guy's shoulders. This room up there.
Oh yeah.
This is Jack Egbert, the righty. He's on to pitch. As the Tigers will try in the bottom of the 10th inning to win the game. Looks like Andy Dirks, his major league experience, is going to hit first.
Now pitching for the Mets, number 80, Jack Egbert.
He's in the on-deck circle. Holliday's going to come up and hit first. Terry Collins has played the Tigers before and got into this situation, and he looked at Jim Leyland like, really, you're going to bring Andy Dirks up? You know, can we catch a break here? And Leyland said, like you, I'm trying to win a game.
Yeah, you got to keep that secret weapon back there just in case.
Give Andy credit. He's been hanging around a long time to get his opportunity. Willie, Brian Holiday could end it with one swing. Game that started at 1:05, now 4:40 here in the East.
And they always talk about speed up rules and, you know, keep one foot in the box, all kind of things, but it's pretty tough in spring training to speed up.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's an oxymoron. Speed up spring training. It's not going to happen. Holiday ground ball to second base. One man down.
Pitch hitting for Trevor Players, number 12, Andy Dirks.
Oh, the kids are wiped out. Look at that. I don't blame you, man. Just unconscious there.
Somebody's got to go help mom push the stroller up. All right, Andy Dirks takes a hack at it. Last year between Toledo and Detroit, Andy managed 14 home runs. Pride of Hutchinson, Kansas. He's up there swinging. He fouls another one off.
The Tigers actually have a lot of depth in their outfield. I mean, they have a lot of looks. I mean, Rayburn maybe at second innings, but they can all kind of float around. So you can go with the hot bat, the hot hand, the better matchup. So they have a lot of different tools out there to really make the best lineup for the best circumstance.
The 0-2 to Dirks. Easy lineup. And I think it seems like a simple question, but you're a complex thinker. Easy lineup for manager Leyland to kind of handle, or is this more of, in some ways, a challenge?
I think it's a challenge. He has the same problem as Bobby Valentine in Boston. I mean, who's going to lead off, really? He doesn't have that prototypical guy that's walking, getting on base. He's going to have to go with Jackson, maybe, Rayburn. They're going to have to mix it up. And Bobby Valentine, same issue. He's going to put Euclid up there. So what happens is once you lock in on someone, it changes the complexion of the rest of your lineup. And he's going to have to make a decision about who's going to be in these key slots. I mean, you know where Fielder and Cabrera are going to hit.
Right.
But after that, it's kind of wide open.
In playing time, when you have so many guys, you don't. It'll work itself out.
Well, it'll definitely work itself out. But he's going to also be able to put guys in situations to succeed, whether it's a matchup thing, lefty, righty. He's got a lot of guys that can do different things on the ball field. So, but he has the luxury. These guys are going to hit, and he has time to sort of sort it out, even if you're trickling into the opening day.
Three and two. This game was started by Dylan G, who is really effective. We've seen Chuck James and Chris Schwinden, Darren Gorski pitching.
John Franco, did he get in there? Franco?
Number 73, Matt Young.
He did not. This has not been one of those, no cloud, 88-degree sunny days, which has been to the benefit of the fans here. There's a lot of clouds, which have helped keep it relatively cool, given that we're almost 4 hours into it.
Well, it especially helps on those pop-ups for outfielders, infielders. It can be a nightmare when you have that clear sky and the sun's just reflecting off the seats. I mean, you can miss a lot of balls.
I'll tell you what, Doug, it looks like Egbert is kind of, I don't want to say batting practice fastballs, but he's throwing strikes. He's kind of laying it in there.
He's coming at him. And I mean, that's something actually Collins might be happy about. Say, hey, throw strikes. The worst thing you could do is walk somebody, get the merry-go-round going, and then now you're just walking a run without making these guys earn it. I remember Sid Thrift. He was a longtime legend Cubs GM, Baltimore. But he said something that I thought was powerful. We always talk about throwing strikes. But it's really more important that you throw to a target. You don't have to throw strikes. If the guy's chasing balls out of the zone, you want to hit a target and have a relationship with your catcher that you have the confidence to hit that spot. And strikes can be overrated. If a guy is a very aggressive hitter and doesn't have the discipline to keep the ball in the zone, he may chase it outside the zone. And so it looks like he's doing a good job here, hitting the spots, being aggressive. If they hit it, they hit it.
Here's your 1-2, fouled off. But the target, unless the guy's swinging at it, and if it's not a strike, it's not going to be a strike. I think that's part of Scherzer's frustration today. He was hitting the glove a lot, but that target was outside the zone, and if they weren't swinging at it, it was a ball.
No, that's true. It's just that certain pitchers like Scherzer have the ability for chase. And if you have a chase pitch, you're like Tim Lincecum. He doesn't need to throw strikes.
Right.
Guys are chasing balls 5 feet outside. So, it's knowing your pitcher. And if you have that type of chase pitch, then you can afford to work off the zone.
And the chase pitch is set up because at one point it looks like a strike.
Absolutely.
To the hitter.
Absolutely. Lincecum jumping at you. You don't pick up the ball. So it's the same concept with Scherzer has a really nasty changeup.
2-2, runner goes. That's Dirks. Throw down, not in time. The winning run is now at second base.
That's something that base runners can take advantage of. Some of these pitchers get into these rhythms. He's trying to throw strikes. He's trying to hit his spots and just kind of gets in a repeat, and he forgets about the base runner. And those guys, you can just, take that extra bag, and now he's in scoring position.
For Matt Young, who's looking at a full count.
Now you look at the outfield, and this is one of those situations you have to kind of cheat in a little bit. I mean, you can't afford to have that one hit cause the winning run. So you got to be aggressive, and you got to make sure you make that good low throw to get that runner.
2 men on now after a walk.
Center fielder, number 66, Quentin Berry.
We're almost around to Santiago again, and Quentin Berry is the number 9 hitter, played the entire game. So has Santiago. Ainge has been in there the whole time. You saw the big bats leave after the 5th inning? 4th inning. 5th inning. Yeah, after they got their 4 runs and singles and walks for Cabrera, he checked out. Fielder checked out. Delman Young checked out. Prince did have a 2-run home run in the game in the 4th inning. And we can confirm what Tim Kirkchin and the others on the bus, the Goodyear Tonight, Baseball Tonight Express Tour had said that the batting practice for the Tigers is pretty cool. It's like a fireworks show. This was the home run that Prince hit in the 4th. And it was a pretty good stiff wind blowing in from right field when he hit it.
Yeah, he should be arrested for disturbing the peace.
There's no safety net for anyone in this situation. Jack Egbert can end it or keep it a tie, but it's going to end. The game is. There's a strike, 2-2.
Yeah, that's not fun for him. Either he loses or he just ties. Not good.
Not a lot of celebrating after the 6-6 tie.
Yeah, you know, either walk off the field or you just look like a goat. Not good options.
Listen to the crowd giving the old applause to get him going.
Yeah, they're still packing the house here.
They are not sprinting out of here.
Which means I will never get to the airport, actually. That's what that means. No problem.
There's a police car waiting outside for somebody.
I'll take it.
You impressed with the Tigers and everything you've seen and heard from them, players, and the way they're all kind of getting along, and Jim Leland?
Oh, no doubt. They just have a confidence about them. I mean, it's one thing Verlander does what he does.
This ball is driven to right field and deep. Back goes the right fielder. It's off the wall, and the Tigers will win the game. Quentin Berry does it for them, and Detroit, in 10 innings, beats the New York Mets by a score of 7-6.
Yeah, Berry's had some big hits. I think he had a triple, 2-run triple, so he's having a nice spring.
And if you're the Tigers and you knew the only other alternative was to tie, you'll take the win. As you said, you walk off the field, you got a chance to celebrate or not in a tie game. So Quentin Berry takes that and puts it into the right field power rally. The final score is the New York Mets 7 and the Detroit Tigers, I should say the Tigers 7 and the Mets 6. NFL Live has been standing by very patiently, and they will join us next. Mark Mulder, Doug Landville, I'm Carl Ravitch. Thank you very much for joining us. And we'll say so long from Lakeland, Florida. Stay tuned to ESPN all spring long for spring training baseball and baseball tonight.